The adventurer is a fearless warrior who holds a sacred artifact in his hands, granting him incredible power. His path is full of dangers as he enters into an unequal battle with demons and monsters. Armed with faith and courage, he boldly goes towards the darkness, protecting the weak. Saving cities from the invasion of demons and monsters, the adventurer became a legendary hero. His exploits and victories were immortalized in legends and tales passed down from generation to generation, inspiring future heroes to follow the example of their great predecessor. After reading stories about the exploits of an ancient adventurer who saved cities and defeated demons, the young man became eager to become such a great hero. Immersed in reading ancient legends, he didn't even notice how someone suddenly appeared next to him, and with a sharp movement, snatched the book right out of his hands. Since childhood, immersed in the world of books, the boy dreamed of becoming a real hero, like those he read in stories. Absorbed in thoughts of adventures and exploits, he did not notice how two hooligans quietly came up from behind and snatched the book from him, began to observe what exactly captivated his attention. One of the hooligans asked if he was reading the book alone again, and the second, looking through it, realized that the book was again about the story of a hero who was weak at first, but after receiving a sacred artifact, became powerful and famous. The bully continued to ask him if he really dreamed of becoming a hero. The third one intervened and said that the boy would definitely not become a hero because he did not have enough courage. And that very day, for the first time, he thought seriously about the hooligan's words. But instead of giving up on his dream, he firmly decided that he would become a true adventurer. Suddenly, a loud cry was heard calling for the stolen book to be returned to the boy. The hooligans turned around and found Ruby standing in front of them. The guy realized that the girl's appearance gave him a chance to prove himself and show his courage. Her support gave him confidence, and now he felt that he was able to stand up to bullies and defend the right to read his favorite books. He opened his eyes and said the name of the very girl who helped him believe in his own strength and pushed him to take the first step towards fulfilling his cherished dream. At that moment she looked at the guy carefully, as if evaluating him. When Ratsu turned to look at her, Ruby was slightly embarrassed, but still smiled at the guy and wished him a good morning. Her face was noticeably sweaty, revealing her excitement and embarrassment. He asked in surprise why and how she had ended up in his room. The girl tried to explain the reason for her appearance, but the words stuck in her throat, preventing her from expressing her thoughts clearly and distinctly. The older sister replied that she had been knocking on the door for a long time, but the young man did not respond, so she had to climb inside through the window. In addition, she was instructed to wake him up. Ratsu was so astonished by such an unusual way of awakening that he literally froze in amazement. The girl hurried the guy, insistently urging him to get ready quickly, since the long-awaited blessing ceremony was to take place today. The young man finally realized the seriousness of the situation. Indeed, today was that very important ceremony at which God bestowed special holy treasures on children who had reached the age of 12. The mother told the children that she would not be able to go to the ceremony with them. She asked Ruby-chan to look after Ratsu. The girl explained that as an older sister, she was obliged to take care of him. However, the young man himself, hearing this, chuckled internally, realizing that they were the same age and there was no age difference between them. The sister looked around in admiration, amazed by the huge number of people gathered in the church. The festive atmosphere, the noise of the crowd, and the festive bustle caused her sincere delight. The brother, observing her reaction, only sighed and joked that she was behaving like a little child. The girl asked him in bewilderment whether he had sat up until the morning reading books again. After all, the guy was so impatiently awaiting the arrival of this special day that she could not imagine at all how he had managed to sleep through such a significant event. Ratsu admitted that he was very nervous before the upcoming ceremony. Hearing this confession, Ruby immediately repeated his words, as if checking whether she had understood her brother correctly. Now she understood why the boy was so worried, that such a significant event happens only once in the life of every child, and no one knew in advance what gift he would receive from the gods. The brother was worried, afraid that he would get some unusual and incomprehensible sacred treasure. Ruby tried to calm him down, assuring him that the probability of such an event was extremely low. The older sister continued, mentioning that the boys from the village often made fun of them, and she wanted to get something outstanding that could impress those around her. Ratsu agreed with her opinion but remained silent, unable to find the right words to answer. The boys couldn't help but listen to the conversation of two young men nearby. One of them confidently declared to the other that if he managed to obtain the rank of Class C or higher at the ceremony, the road to the ranks of real adventurers would open automatically. Continuing the conversation, the man added that his friend had previously wanted to engage in the family business, selling fruit. The interlocutor confirmed his intention to reach at least level D, emphasizing his confidence in his own abilities and the ability to succeed on a new path. Meanwhile, two young girls nearby were quietly conversing with each other. One remarked that she would rather have an adventurer as a protector than become an adventurer herself. The other agreed. Listening to the conversations, the boy realized that not everyone dreams of becoming an adventurer. The anniversary of growing up gathered a huge number of participants, among whom were different goals and desires. His sister supported his observation, noting the diversity of views and aspirations of those present. But suddenly, Ratsu was distracted by some movement to the side. He looked there warily, noticing something interesting or suspicious. Looking around the crowd, the young man noticed several strangers who stood out for their confidence and calm. Assuming that they might be experienced adventurers, he watched them with interest, trying to catch the peculiarities of their behavior and manner of holding themselves. He remembered the rule that if an experienced adventurer was impressed by someone's personality or abilities, he could invite the newcomer to join the community right away, without having to go through the traditional entrance exam. Ruby asked incredulously if that was true. From tension and anticipation, the young man's hands began to tremble slightly. Seeing her brother's excitement, the sister asked him if he remembered the promise he had made earlier. They both gave their word to protect the inhabitants of their native land from the attacks of evil demons. Together they decided to become the greatest heroes, whose names would be known everywhere, whose contribution to the protection of peace would forever remain in the memory of generations. The desire to become the best of the best filled their hearts with pride and confidence in the future. Their common goal was that by becoming adventurers, they would be able to realize their dreams and gain fame as great heroes worthy of respect and emulation. They firmly believed that with their talent, diligence, and mutual support, they would definitely achieve their goals. Suddenly, the silence was broken by a strange voice that sounded behind the boys. The stranger confidently claimed that every word he uttered was absolutely true, because he had personally verified this, having seen numerous miracles with his own eyes. The stranger loudly exclaimed that he had no doubt for a second that before him was a real hero, ready to do great things. The surprised guy carefully clarified what exactly was meant by this title, hoping to hear more details about the future purpose of this man. Ruby excitedly shouted that the title of hero was given only to the most powerful and respected adventurer. A young man approached her and calmly explained that their group had been looking for the girl for a long time. The sister's friends, who had remained a little behind, called out loudly to her, informing her that she was delayed and that the ceremony was about to begin. She quickly told her brother that she would be leaving for a short while, promising to return in just a minute. Ratsu thought sadly how different they were. She made friends easily, was surrounded by friends, and was constantly the center of attention, while he was withdrawn and shy, preferring to spend time alone, immersed in the study of old tomes and legends. A random passerby accidentally bumped the confused guy with his shoulder, making him feel even more awkward and anxious about the moment. It turned out to be Helio, a local rascal known for his sharp tongue and cocky character. As he passed by, he mockingly apologized to Ratsu, adding sarcastically that he simply hadn't noticed such a small, little thing. He mockingly asked if the guy was going to go to the ceremony. The bully expressed his desire to see what insignificant object such a weak opponent would receive, if any. Helio continued to mock, declaring that he did not believe in the boy's ability to take part in the battle at all, claiming that it would be better for him not to show up at all. Frightened and unsure of himself, Ratsu timidly nodded his head, agreeing with the opinion of the impudent teenager, feeling how fear paralyzed his body and prevented him from acting decisively. The bully brazenly snatched the boy's favorite book from his hands, mockingly asking if he was still rereading old fairy tales, as if he had not outgrown childish games. Helio laughed maliciously, shouting that it was stupid to expect to become a hero just by getting a powerful artifact. Then he dismissively called the boy a child who was barely 2 years old, emphasizing his childish naivety and weakness. Suddenly, someone's hand firmly grasped the bully's wrist, stopping the flow of derogatory remarks. It turned out to be Ruby. She looked sternly at Helio and imperiously demanded that he immediately return the stolen book, which he had rudely taken from his younger comrade. Ratsu breathed a sigh of relief, feeling his sister's support and freed from the unpleasant pressure from Helio. Annoyed by the girl's interference, the bully angrily clicked his tongue and irritably complained that she was always ruining his fun by getting in his way. Helio arrogantly declared that a man who needed the protection of a woman was definitely not worthy of owning a sacred artifact and being called a true adventurer. These barbed remarks deeply hurt the boy, causing him to feel worthless and pathetic. However, Ruby was quick to support the boy, gently suggesting that sometimes the best answer was silence, and such attacks did not deserve special attention. The girl proudly emphasized that her brother intends to devote himself to a noble cause, becoming a skilled and courageous hero, capable of bearing responsibility with dignity and overcoming any difficulties. Ratsu felt deep gratitude towards his sister, realizing that only she was able to understand and support his feelings, giving him faith in his own strength. The priest solemnly announced the beginning of the important ceremony of blessing, inviting the young candidates undergoing the rite of initiation to approach the altar of the temple, where sacred relics and divine protection awaited them. Before the ceremony began, the boy whispered a prayer, recalling the tradition that on a certain day, the sacred light of the sun allows people to connect with the gods. Ruby, noticing the important moments approaching, quietly warned her brother that the ceremony had officially begun. One of the young men suddenly stepped forward, volunteering to test his fate first, demonstrating a courage and self-confidence rare among his peers. Under the attentive gaze of those gathered, he confidently walked towards the altar, concentrating all his inner determination on the successful completion of the ritual. The priest addressed him with instructions to concentrate and offer prayer. Soon a bright beam of light touched the young man's face, filling him with energy and inner light, symbolizing the approval of the gods. The bright light emanating from the altar was so intense that most of the spectators in the church hall were forced to cover their eyes with their hands, wincing from the excessive brightness and feeling slightly dizzy. Opening his eyes, Ratsu finally realized that he was not looking at an ordinary church, but at a majestic hall filled with bright candles and a mysterious atmosphere. It was here that the most important blessing ceremony took place, determining the future of each participant. The young man carefully held in his hands an unusual blade given to him by the gods. All those present looked at the new sacred artifact with curiosity and reverence, trying to guess what capabilities the owner of the new weapon possessed. Standing up to his full height, he loudly proclaimed that he had been chosen by a magnificent steel battle axe, classified by the gods as a Class C weapon. A surprised cry was heard from one of the young men among the spectators, expressing genuine amazement and joy that the first candidate was lucky enough to receive such a high-level artifact, confirming his exceptional qualities and potential. The priest explained to those gathered that the true power of the received artifact would be revealed only after fully donning the appropriate equipment and accessories. He also asked volunteers who had a sacred weapon to immediately announce their treasure. Helio looked gloomily at his lucky rival, feeling envy and disappointment that fate had apparently been more generous to the other, providing a higher level of artifact. One of the girls spoke next, rising modestly and striding towards the altar. She bowed respectfully before the shrine, immersing herself in intense prayer, begging the gods to send her a suitable sacred artifact. She got a C-rank storm dagger. Someone from the crowd said that there might be a good harvest this year. He continued that this was already the second person with such a rank, and the guy next to him held his breath, waiting for what would happen next. Ratsu was not surprised that the people around him were happy. The treasures were ranked according to the will of the gods. Artifact items are divided into 6 main ranks, A, B, C, D, E, and F. The middle rank is represented by the letter D. It is already known that 2 lucky people have received valuable items of Class C, which is quite a high achievement. Ruby hoped that they would also receive worthy artifacts. The brother nodded in agreement, fully aware that tonight would bring changes. He was acutely aware of his weakness and tendency to cry, knowing that he had been constantly bullied all his life, but now was the decisive moment that could radically change his fate. For this, however, a powerful artifact was needed that could give him strength and confidence. His sister told him not to worry, because she said everything would be fine. It turned out that Helio had received a B-rank lightning spear. His friends were happy and said that they knew it, and then asked him to show them the spear. Various groups persistently called him to join, offering him a career as an adventurer. However, the young man only smirked condescendingly, looking appraisingly at the young adventurers, doubting their ability to really be useful. Ratsu tried to support Helio, sincerely rejoicing at his success. Meanwhile, Ruby looked at what was happening with envy and firmly decided to get a treasure much more valuable and powerful. The guy next to her encouraged her with words of support, wishing her luck. The girl said her name and began to pray, immersing herself in communication with the deities. Meanwhile, the boy standing nearby wondered if his older sister was paying attention to his feelings and experiences, tormented by doubts and hope at the same time. When he was little, he preferred to spend time with books, which often left him alone. The young man remembered how his peers constantly humiliated him, claiming that he could never become a real hero. Only his sister always stood up for him, supporting him and inspiring him to believe in himself. She bravely fought those who bullied her younger brother. But being the older sister, she understood that she couldn't protect him forever. The guy will have to learn to stand up for himself and prove to others that he is worthy of respect. The girl also knew that he wants to become a cool hero. At that very moment, the young man began to think that he dreamed of becoming as strong and brave as his older sister. Ruby dropped the A-rank fire dragon sword. The priest solemnly presented this unique artifact, noting that he was seeing something like this for the first time, and called it truly amazing. The boy sincerely admired Ruby. She proudly showed off the most powerful artifact she possessed to her younger brother, who looked at her with adoration, considering her a true hero. The girl was suddenly inundated with offers to join various teams, but she wished Rats good luck, leaving the choice to herself. The boy walked up to the altar, humbly asking God to grant him the strength to be a hero. He asked for the strength to leave behind forever the image of a weak, whiny boy who was easily defeated even by Helio. The young man wanted to gain the kind of power that would allow him to help Ruby and fight with dignity shoulder to shoulder with her. He needed this power solely to be able to protect his dear older sister. His expectations were dashed when the young man received an extremely unusual and frankly unattractive artifact. Helio laughed loudly, dismissively remarking that the boy had been left with nothing but a pile of useless junk. While the whole company was laughing, the sharp sound of women's heels echoed throughout the room, instantly attracting the attention of those around them. Everyone immediately noticed the beautiful and majestic girl confidently entering the room. Her appearance and demeanor betrayed true aristocracy, and no one doubted that this was the very celebrity whose arrival excluded any mistake. The hero Paludi approached Ruby with an offer to join her. Everyone was amazed that the hero Paludi herself invited this girl to her group. Many believed that she should definitely agree, because such an offer does not come to everyone. Ruby herself could not believe in the miracle that happened. The heroine resolutely said that she should follow her. But the girl tried to explain something, blinking her eyes in confusion and hesitantly sorting out her words. Ruby squeezed her brother's hand tightly and kindly asked the respected lady to wait a little. The guy discovered that his reward was an artifact of the lowest F rank, and was truly shocked to see a completely rusty and battered sword in his hands. The older sister approached Paludi with a request to allow Ratsu to join as well, wanting her brother to be part of this glorious team with her. She sharply told the young man that he definitely could not become an adventurer. The guy felt completely disappointed and hopeless, losing faith in the possibility of changing his destiny. He understood the heroine's statement and realized that this was the weakest artifact imaginable. Paludi continued to explain that demons had extremely tough skin covered in protective magic. With a normal weapon or a low-rank artifact, Ratsu would not be able to make a single scratch. The girl added that his weapon belonged to the lowest class, rank F. The young man realized that the blessing ceremony could be considered a complete failure, and he would have to spend the rest of his life as an eternal loser. The heroine continued, stating that if he went with them, he would quickly become easy prey for monsters or demons. The woman then coldly suggested that he voluntarily give up any further attempts to become a hero. The sister firmly replied that no one would know for sure until they tried. She said warmly that she would definitely help. These words caught the guy off guard, literally putting him in a dead end. He clearly understood that his relative would choose him over the celebrated hero, preferring to forever protect him like a small child. This thought brought the young man into deep despondency. Ratsu no longer wanted to remain under the protection of his loved ones and decided to act independently that same day. He asked the girl to go ahead and wait for him there. He himself declared that he would pass the test and become a full-fledged adventurer. The sister reminded him of the promise he had made earlier, but the young man replied that one day he would become an adventurer who would not yield even to recognized heroes. The young man firmly stated that he intended to become a man capable of protecting the girl, and promised to definitely catch up with her. A familiar image flashed before Ruby's eyes, and she saw again her younger brother ordering the monsters to retreat from her, repeating a situation from long ago. The sister remembered how tightly he squeezed her little hand, convincing her that she was strong and capable of overcoming any difficulties, how the animals retreated upon hearing his voice. She recalled how he begged her to stop crying, calmed her down, and promised to always be there. The girl thoughtfully whispered one simple but meaningful word, Hero. Her gaze was clouded by memories of childhood, when her little brother stood in her defense, ready to face any threats. Ruby gently pulled his head to her chest, quietly promising to wait for her brother's return. This became their new cherished promise, which bound them together more strongly than before. Now he had to overcome any obstacles, justify his sister's trust, and certainly catch up with her, proving to the whole world and to himself that he was capable of becoming a real hero. Helio clucked his tongue in irritation, looking disapprovingly at the boy's book. He, in turn, sadly watched the carriage that was taking away his dear relative. Ratsu was deeply saddened by the failure, realizing that he had failed to fulfill his first promise to his sister, to become an adventurer with her. So he decided to make a new commitment, to succeed regardless of the circumstances and overcome all obstacles that stood in his way. Despite the fact that he was given the weakest artifact, an old rusty sword, symbolizing his own vulnerability and weakness, he did not give up. Raising his sword high above his head, the young man loudly declared that one day he would certainly become not just an adventurer but a real hero, equal to the best fighters in the world. The sister realized that in real life her brother was very different from the heroes of the books. He seemed fragile, sensitive, and often showed tears. He didn't even have a significant artifact that could make him strong, but for her he always remained the one and only hero. A group of brave adventurers led by the heroine Paludi bravely entered into battle with a huge and bloodthirsty monster. They resolutely drew their sharp blades, ready to repel the attack of any enemy. The monster inexorably approached the team, growling viciously and showing off its terrifying fangs and claws. The girls tried to calm the worried Ruby down in a friendly manner, explaining that the enemy was actually quite small and quite manageable. Paludi noted with authority that truly powerful monsters rarely appear near villages, preferring to live far from human settlements. However, the girl, convulsively clutching the hilt of the sword, continued to be noticeably nervous and could barely restrain the trembling in her body. Her body was tense with fear, her breathing was ragged, her heart was pounding desperately. Seeing the condition of the recruit, the group commander turned to her. The hero emphasized that such monsters are not the kind of creatures a true hero should fear. Ruby looked down and timidly admitted that she was embarrassed by her obvious inexperience and was afraid of a trick from her opponent. The new recruit said that she used to often come here to play with the village children, adding that this place holds old good memories, evoking a poignant feeling of pleasant nostalgia. The lady sympathetically asked if the girl was worried about her younger brother, who was left at home. Ruby said not quite. Her look said more than her words. She smiled slightly, as if doubting herself. One adventurer in the party noted that there were no strong monsters in this forest, wondering how children could play there. Another girl replied that she was always protected. She again asked who exactly was protecting her. Ruby replied with a smile and pride that he was a real hero. The sister was sweeping the yard and asked her younger brother what he was doing there. Ratsu replied that from today on he would be his sister's assistant on the farm. After all, he had previously grown up under the strict guidance of his mother, but now it was time to prove himself and start working. The girl reminded him, handing him his old rusty sword, that he had forgotten something. She asked him if he wanted to become an adventurer. The guy hesitantly agreed. Ruby pointed out that since he had decided to become an adventurer, he had absolutely no time to waste on farming. The sister asked him to promise her one important condition. If danger suddenly arose, he must definitely flee. Ratsu realized how much he owed his mother and Ruby. As he walked along a forest path, he suddenly saw the tracks of the adventurer's carriage. The young man firmly believed that he would definitely become an adventurer, no matter how far his older sister progressed. Lost in memories of childhood adventures, the young man suddenly heard a strange noise nearby. An ominously approaching root emerged from the dense thicket of bushes. A huge ancient tree suddenly appeared behind. Turning around, the boy found the menacing Trent in front of him and realized that he hadn't even felt how he had approached unnoticed. The ancient giant instantly wrapped its powerful roots around the boy's leg. Ratsu tried to break free, but it was no use and the mighty tree only roughly threw him away with a powerful blow from its roots. Contorted in pain, the boy realized that he was facing real danger, and the terrible monster continued to emit frightening sounds. The young man firmly grasped the hilt of his sword and resolutely rushed forward, remembering his promise to catch up with his sister. All scratched and beaten, he returned back to the village. There, the sister sternly asked him if he had run away as agreed. The guy confidently confirmed that he had. The next morning, despite everything, the young man again went to fight that same dangerous monster. The young warrior brought down a powerful blow with his sword straight at the roots of the ancient Trent, putting all his strength and tenacity into it. However, luck turned against him again. The sword turned out to be so dull that it was barely distinguishable from an ordinary wooden club, causing the guy great irritation. On the third day, the boy came again to fight the tree monster. The boys passing by looked at him with bewilderment, not understanding why he was trying to overcome a seemingly useless obstacle every day. And so the fourth day arrived, and the young hero's struggle with the rebellious tree monster continued with the same zeal. The fifth day arrived, but the situation remained unchanged. The young wrestler tried his best to cope with the enemy, but the success was minimal. 3 years have passed. One day, two young girls were having a lively conversation by the road. One of them asked the other why she had not yet left her native village for a better life. The second thoughtfully admitted that she was thinking about finding a suitable job. The first one sympathetically suggested that the capital was full of interesting vacancies. Their conversation was interrupted by a moving root of an old tree nearby. They were very scared. A huge Trent appeared before the girls, ready to attack. However, Ratsu appeared next to them, bravely standing up for them, preparing to enter the battle. With a quick and dexterous movement, the boy inflicted devastating damage on the giant tree. The young man explained to them that this monster had come close to the village, but now there was no danger and no one was injured. The first girl reacted quickly, shooting her arrow right on target, hitting a tree. The second girl was sincerely happy about her friend's victory over the monster, rejoicing in her success. And her companion turned to the guy, asking him if he was hurt, and thanked him heartily for his support. 3 long years had passed since Ruby had left her native village. Now Ratsu was concerned with only one question: how much closer was he to his goal of catching up with his sister? The result of 3 years of training was only level 10. Desperate and disappointed, he wondered if he really had no talent for this. While thinking about his own inadequacy and the feeling of being behind his sister, the young man accidentally caught sight of 2 guys collecting firewood and selling it to the villagers. One of the brothers sarcastically asked Ratsu why he had continued to train for 3 years, not seeing the obvious futility of his efforts. The boy remembered his sister's advice, saying that she would patiently wait for his return. Tired of sitting on the ground, immersed in heavy thoughts about how far ahead his sister had gone and that he would no longer be able to catch up with her, the young man fell asleep. Suddenly waking up, the young man saw the child in danger and immediately rushed to save him. He worriedly thought about the child, whether he had gotten lost here. Suddenly, a small, fragile girl appeared in front of him, looking like a younger version of Ruby, trembling in fear of the forest monsters. He vividly recalled the incident from his childhood when his sister disappeared in the forest and almost became a victim of forest monsters. The boy decided that he had to come to the rescue, when suddenly, a small version of Ratsu fearlessly rushed towards the enemy. And she loudly shouted the order to the monsters to retreat away from the girl. His voice made the enemies nervous and afraid. Little Ratsu quickly pulled his sister's hand, pulling her away from the threat. The young man realized that he was watching a flashback to when he was a child. Meanwhile, the child version of the hero was tenderly comforting a crying girl, assuring her that everything was over and the monsters were gone. The child asked little Ruby to stop crying, only to be told that she was not crying at all. Watching the child version of himself bravely defending his sister, the young man finally realized the truth that it was a simple wooden stick that had brought salvation to both of them. A little girl turned to him and firmly stated that he intended to become a real cool hero. Looking on with delight, she added that she was looking forward to that great day and would continue to wait for as long as it took. When he woke up, he realized that the event he had experienced had been just a vivid dream. Taking the sword in his hands, Ratsu promised his sister to wait for him because he would definitely catch up with her. Having risen, the guy heard someone's anxious cry and assumed that he was still in the world of dreams. Soon the young man became convinced that what was happening was real and that he had to hurry. Having discovered a little girl nearby, he excitedly asked if everything was okay with her. The young man saw a terrifying monster in front of him, and was at a loss as to how to defeat such a powerful creature, and why it had appeared in this place at all. Demons are distinguished from other creatures by their advanced intellect, similar to humans who receive the blessing of the gods in the form of sacred artifacts. They are also endowed with special items by the power of dark deities. They are the sworn enemies of humanity. Two familiar guys were standing nearby, looking at each other with distrust, considering it incredible that such a strong creature would appear in such a place. Realizing the threat, the brothers immediately jumped up and ran away. Ratsu tried desperately to delay them, trying to explain his intention, but they did not listen to him, believing that the most reasonable solution was to quickly hide. The young man was indignant, turning to them, that it was really acceptable to throw the girl to be torn apart by the monster and run away themselves. The first said that any attempts to resist were useless, because the enemy was a demon. The second suggested notifying the village guards, considering such a measure a priority task. The first added that defeating a person brings new strength to the demon, allowing him to grow and develop, just as people become stronger thanks to their victories. Besides, the monster can easily deal with all of them without much effort. Ratsu indignantly objected that while the girl was waiting for the guard's help, the demon would easily deal with her. After all, that young man had a special weapon that allowed him to engage in an unequal duel with such a creature. But he skeptically clarified that the artifact he had was only one of the lower D ranks, which significantly limited the chances of a successful outcome of the battle. The first exclaimed that the thing found was not suitable for a serious confrontation, and the second insisted that failure to notify the guards in time would endanger the safety of the settlement's residents. After a short argument, both quickly disappeared from sight. The young man carefully armed himself and took up a position among the dense greenery of the forest, carefully observing the actions of the formidable enemy from afar. The little girl trembled with unbearable horror, sensing the inevitability of death. The stunned boy watched the unfolding tragedy with alarm. Meanwhile, the monster contemptuously stated that acquiring a tiny boost from such an insignificant opponent would seem like a fun pastime, adding that it was time to die. Without hesitation, the brave young man ran out of hiding and commanded the demon to immediately move away from the child. The creature turned slowly, wondering what strange words were coming from behind the trees. The hero persistently repeated his ultimatum, demanding that the girl be left alone. The monster grinned mockingly and asked to repeat what was said again, supposedly because the hero's voice was too quiet, which he supposedly did not understand. With a desperate battle cry, the young man rushed forward, once again proclaiming the demand to free the captive girl. With a single movement of its huge palm, the monster stopped the teenager's clumsy blow. The guy was left in a state of extreme amazement. The demon chuckled and explained that he had initially taken the weapon for ordinary junk, but now he realized that it was a sacred treasure. This discovery caused the monster to burst into a fit of mirth. Deciding to demonstrate its own superiority, the creature showed its artifact. He also decided to show what his sword was capable of. The young man froze in awe, amazed by the picture that opened up before him. Ready to deliver the finishing blow, the demon swung and released a wave of destructive energy, sweeping away everything around. Grinning maliciously, the monster proudly declared that this energy was the true measure of his power. The girl was torn apart by grief, begging someone to save her. Ratsu himself tensely noted that the opponent possessed gigantic potential, comparable to the monsters that his brave sister risked fighting every day. The hero was clearly aware of his own weakness in the face of absolute evil, feverishly thinking about how to delay the outcome, to wait for reinforcements in the form of guards. Meanwhile, a mysterious creature jumped out from behind, maliciously asking where the young man's courage had gone. The monster was eager to destroy the hated boy, turning the murder into a ritual celebration. The beast threw the boy away with a powerful force, launching him into the air far from the battlefield. A deafening crack was heard, followed by a heart-rending cry from Ratsu, shaken by excruciating pain. On behalf of the monster, he was well aware that he would not be able to obtain a powerful blessing from this little girl. The forest was filled with the smell of people, indicating the proximity of human habitation. This meant that there was a village nearby. The monster was determined to go to the village and collect many blessings there. He decided that he would kill all the people in the village. The demon decided to deal with the nearest small enemies first. However, suddenly, Ratsu began to scream shrilly, disturbing the calm of the situation with sharp cries. The guy quickly rushed forward, clutching the weapon with both hands. and then he rushed to attack the demon, trying to save the child at any cost. However, the monster turned out to be more agile. With a lightning-fast movement, he easily repelled the enemy's blow, protecting himself from the attack. The demon considered the young man's blow worthy of praise, because the young man had shown courage and skill. But the outcome of the fight was predetermined in advance, and everything would soon be over. He told the heroic fish that they would see each other later, and the boy desperately held back the blows of the sharp blade. The young man's sword began to gradually disintegrate, turning into a pile of rubble right in the hands of its owner. The creature's stunning lunge threw Ratsu to the side with such force that he flew a considerable distance. The young man, covered in bruises and bloodstains, collapsed to the ground, gasping for air with his mouth wide open. The demon indifferently said that he would eliminate him after he had dealt with the girl. Lying on the cold ground, the boy bitterly regretted and asked Ruby for forgiveness for once again failing to fulfill the promise he had made to her. His soul was torn apart by feelings of guilt and shame. Neither of the two most important promises had been fulfilled. The first had turned into a defeat. The second, connected with the desire to catch up with the girl, turned out to be equally unrealistic. Only one thought warmed the young man's heart. Perhaps this wonderful girl did not harbor a grudge against him at all. He was clearly aware that he was the only one who could protect this child at this moment. The demon turned around and noticed a boy who had almost lost his strength, ready to sacrifice himself to save another. Ratsu loudly declared his intention to overcome the enemy. What followed was a rapid series of mutual attacks, filled with adrenaline and the determination of both opponents. A sharp impact sound echoed throughout the area as two sharp blades collided with incredible force. Despite his fortitude, the boy's blade turned out to be much less strong and inexorably lost its shape, turning into a scattering of small fragments. The huge monster could not understand the reason for the sudden change in the shape of the weapon wielded by the impudent youth. This fact made the monster feel both annoyed and anxious at the same time. Ratsu's hands was now a cursed S-rank magic blade, which granted bonuses: Divine Power plus 500, Strength plus 500, Agility plus 500, Endurance plus 500, Endurability plus 500, Magical Power plus 500. In addition, the owner gains the ability to use artifact synthesis. The monster was completely confused, as both the artifact and the boy himself had mysteriously transformed. Only now did the young hero feel the full grandeur of the moment, that the true face of his loyal ally, previously hidden behind the mask of a weak weapon, was revealed before him. Now, thanks to this revelation, the path to victory became clearer and closer. Energy gushed forth in a stormy stream, filling every muscle, every nerve, every part of the young hero's body. The feeling of power and absolute confidence literally burst through his chest, giving him strength for the decisive battle. Without hesitation, the demon rushed forward, launching a swift attack. Despite the threatening power of the attack, the boy skillfully and calmly stopped the giant's aggressive impulse, taking the blow without the slightest effort. But the giant creature found it extremely unpleasant to watch the confident, assessing gaze of the young man, drilling him with his eyes from top to bottom. The monster demanded to be told frankly about everything that was known, and not to look at him with such eyes. Ratsu recalled that he had spoken about this from the very beginning. The youth launched a swift and decisive surprise attack that cut deep into the giant's flesh, and left a deep mark along the entire front of his massive body. Despite his admonitions and warnings, the monster's enormous size and wild nature prevented him from correctly perceiving the essence of the conversation. Then the young man again tried to reach the enemy's consciousness, persistently uttering a simple phrase that he should leave the child alive and not come near him. The event that had happened was beyond his comprehension, and the young man was completely at a loss, wondering what exactly had led to this development of the situation. The acquired true form of the ancient artifact began to emit waves of pure energy, penetrating the body of the owner and saturating him with supernatural power, significantly exceeding the previous level of abilities. Although the situation seemed critical, the guy knew one thing for sure: he would not allow himself to give in. Every cell in his body rejected the very possibility of defeat, continuing to persist and look for a way out of the difficult situation. The colossal creature dominated the battlefield, taking up position directly behind the youth, ready to deliver another crushing blow. An angry voice echoed across the battlefield, accusing the young daredevil of madness and the absurdity of his actions. For such senseless aggression led to only one thing: the fiercest irritation of the ferocious demon. The boy's previous blow, although it had caused pain, the demon had dismissively described as just a minor scratch. The demon roared and ordered him to disappear from his life, and immediately unleashed an avalanche of powerful blows on his opponent, one after another, trying to break the enemy's resistance. Heavy blows rained down, leaving deep wounds and forcing Ratsu to retreat further and further. Unafraid, the young warrior stood his ground and resolutely resumed his series of murderous attacks, subjecting the demon to the most severe tests. After each accurate hit, the huge beast let out terrible screams, experiencing unbearable pain. The creature suddenly found itself immersed in thick clouds of black smoke, flaring up into bright flames. These dark tongues of fire came from the magically charged sword and the numerous heavy blows of the young hero. While admiring his own abilities, the young man felt a growing confidence in his own powers. The monster, on the other hand, was truly shocked to discover that the mystical black flame, which it had thought long lost, had returned to the world. Driven by a sudden impulse, Ratsu gripped the ancient blade with tightly clenched fingers and threw his hand forward with lightning speed, plunging the sharp tip straight into the demon's vulnerable spot and striking across the entire torso. Stunned by the failure, the monster tried for a long time to understand how something base could be stronger than his power. When the reality became obvious, the demon's body began to flicker with a dim light, gradually evaporating and dissipating until it finally disappeared from reality. The boy breathed a sigh of relief, feeling satisfied that the hard struggle had ended, when suddenly, the sky became covered with gray clouds, and large drops of rain began to fall to the ground, creating a feeling of cleansing after the tension he had experienced. The young man fell to the wet ground, physically and mentally exhausted, and the little girl he had saved from the monster hurried to him, running up with quick steps. She worriedly inquired if her brother was feeling well. Ratsu began to regain consciousness. The young man immediately came to his senses, noticing that he was lying in his own bed at home, surrounded by the familiar atmosphere of comfort. The mother entered the room, worriedly asked if her son had really woken up, and said that he had been brought here by the guards, who they had found in the forest. The boy was lost in thought, remembering how the guards discovered him and the mysterious voice calling him affectionately, "brother." Then the young man wanted to ask about the fate of the girl, but the mother quickly interrupted her son, reassuring him with the words that everything was fine with her. The boy sighed with relief, and the mother continued her story, saying that for 3 long years she had dreamed of seeing her son alive and well, who had stopped risking his life in battles with dangerous creatures. The woman's parents once lived in poverty and eked out a miserable existence until they took up farming, gaining stability and prosperity. She was glad that she did not stop her son from fighting dangerous monsters. After all, the girl he saved thanked him with tears of happiness. The woman's eyes filled with pride as she admitted that she saw her son's growth every day, that he was not only gaining physical strength, but also learning to make wise decisions, showing courage and kindness, becoming a real man. The young man's heart began to beat tremulously from the overwhelming feelings of gratitude and respect, when hot tears almost appeared in his eyes, touched by the heartfelt message of his beloved mother. She then turned to her son with an important question, intending to find out whether he planned to take the exams necessary for official status as a professional adventurer. Ratsu agreed with the necessity of the exam, allowing him to officially enter the profession of adventure hunter. However, the young man understood that it was impossible to leave his native walls, because his attention and help were vitally important to his mother, who needed support and protection. However, the woman unexpectedly came close, pressed her son tightly to her chest and quietly asked him to give the only important promise. She begged the boy to spare his life and not to leave before her, and it is imperative to help ordinary people, protect them and defend them from any threats. With tears streaming down his cheeks, the boy promised out loud to follow his mother's advice and admitted that he was proud of her and infinitely grateful for such a wonderful parent. She also added a number of conditions: to visit her twice a year, save the money he earned, watch his diet, and avoid going to bed with a full stomach. The young man involuntarily asked whether the above should be considered a single promise. 3 years have passed since Ruby left. Ratsu's adventure finally begins. The goal is White Rondo, a city of aspiring adventurers. The boy says that he will definitely pass the exam and become an adventurer. The young man's sword had turned back again, and he wondered why it had become rusty again. He felt awkward because the boys who had fled the battlefield of that memorable duel had made him a scabbard as an apology. Having received such an unusual gift, he felt both flattered and embarrassed. Ratsu was determined to find out in detail what kind of mysterious skill of hidden potential his magic sword had, called the mysterious ability, evolution. which could radically change the course of the battle and reveal new possibilities of the blade. In order to activate the evolution ability, the true form of the sacred artifact hidden within the blade must first be released. Only then will it be possible to activate the special effect, burning the fighting spirit. The boy suddenly realized that the concept of fighting spirit manifested itself when he found himself in a state of complete despair, desperately fighting against a powerful demon. The young man mentally repeated to himself that he would certainly become a real adventurer and a heroic defender, ready to stand up for his mother and beloved sister Ruby. These thoughts gave him the strength to move forward, overcoming any obstacles on the way to his cherished goal. Suddenly, his blade transformed, taking on a completely different shape. The sword began to look even more menacing and majestic. Ratsu suddenly realized that he was able to independently cause the blade to change shape by activating the skill in an unusual way. This discovery gave him confidence, because now he understood that he was able to control the power of the sword not only in moments of danger, but also consciously, directing it in the right direction. The young man, looking at the changed sword, thoughtfully noted that it really looked like an artifact of some ancient demon. His voice sounded calm, but his eyes reflected surprise and wariness, mixed with curiosity. He carefully compared his new blade with the weapon of the demon he had defeated earlier, and found a striking similarity between them. The shape of the blade, the patterns on the handle, and even the light emanating from both swords were almost identical. The guard who helped the young man brought both swords at once, as he could not determine exactly which one belonged to the hero. This situation caused some confusion until the young man figured out the situation and chose his own blade. It turns out that the boy now has the ability to see the characteristics of various artifacts. Using his new ability, he inspects the weapon of the defeated monster and finds out that this sword is called the Great Sword of Black Flame and has an impressive B rank. The young man did not dare to leave the sword he found at home, so he took it with him. However, he realized that it was unwise to fight with someone else's artifact, because each item of this kind has its own nature and connection with the owner, which is not easy to establish instantly. Suddenly, the blade was torn from his hands and rushed upwards, like a living creature striving to free itself from the earthly shackles. Then the second sword followed the example of the first, rising into the air. The guy stood in complete bewilderment, not knowing what caused such unexpected behavior of the two artifacts. Stunned by what was happening, he tried to figure out what led to such a fantastic event. He was in genuine shock as he saw the blade of the defeated demon slowly dissolve and merge with his own weapon. This incredible sight took the young man by surprise, causing a wave of confusion and anxiety. With a sharp movement, the sword plunged sharply into the ground, leaving the young owner standing there in complete confusion. He could not understand what had happened and why his weapon itself had taken such unusual actions. The boy carefully picked up his cursed S-rank magic sword, feeling that there must have been a significant change in it. The blade seemed different, emitting an unfamiliar aura and drawing attention to its new appearance. He was truly shocked to discover that his sword's stats now had a new skill, Black Flame, borrowed from the defeated demon. In addition, the blade acquired the ability to use magic and the function of synthesizing sacred weapons, expanding its combat capabilities. The young man was puzzled by the appearance of a new skill and had no idea what power the ability of synthesis contained. He felt the need to study this phenomenon in more detail in order to better understand the potential of his unique weapon. Artifact synthesis is the ability to synthesize a sacred artifact with the blessing of an evil god as a strengthening material. Once he obtains the magic of the synthesized artifacts, he can use it, limited only to unequipped sacred treasures. The guy sincerely considered synthesis an incredibly unique skill. After all, the demon, defeated recently, possessed the magic of the Black Flame, and now this very magic was successfully synthesized directly into his personal artifact, enhancing his own abilities and providing access to a new type of attack. He also believed that, despite its modest overall status of 500 units, his sword looked like a real cheat find, possessing disproportionately greater capabilities and advantages over ordinary items of a similar level. Suddenly, a familiar gnarled root of an old tree appeared among the dense thickets. However, it soon became clear that this was not a simple tree at all, but a whole army of giant living creatures, Trents, who came out to meet the traveler. Their massive trunks swayed menacingly, and they themselves screamed frighteningly. The young man reacted instantly, pushing off the ground with his feet and jumping back, escaping from the unexpected threat. Then, deftly dodging the enemy's attack, He confidently grabbed the proven blade in his hand, ready to enter the battle and protect himself from the dangers that awaited him at every step. The boy respectfully turned to his sword with a request to grant him mastery of the black flame magic, and he decisively directed a powerful charge of energy straight towards the advancing enemies, hoping to stop their attack and give himself some time to maneuver. A huge charge of dark energy struck the crowd of treants, instantly igniting the wood and turning the powerful trunks into burning torches. The magical flame devoured everything around, leaving behind a scorched wasteland and scattering the army of aggressive trees. Blinding lights flashed one after another, destroying the bodies of the ancient treants, whose agonizing cries echoed throughout the forest. The guy felt genuine joy and relief, convinced that the magic of the black flame really works and is now available to him at any time he needs. But in the midst of his jubilation, a sudden, sharp blow shook his body, depriving him of the feeling of joy and plunging him into a state of acute pain and anxiety. He clutched his head with his hands convulsively, experiencing unbearable pain and a complete lack of understanding of what was happening. His head was splitting, his consciousness was clouded, and a heartbreaking screech of wood was heard nearby. His head was splitting with terrible pain, becoming almost unbearable. Deciding to check the cause of his suffering, Ratsu turned his gaze to his sword, trying to understand whether his current state was connected with the recent changes to the weapon. Apparently, the young man quickly realized the terrifying truth. The cause of the excruciating headache was a curse placed on his precious weapon. The tree came to life and decided to attack the boy, intending to capture the victim with its wooden embrace. The young man lay on the ground, writhing in excruciating pain, realizing that in this position it was impossible to avoid a deadly attack. There was no strength left to fight, and hope was gradually fading along with consciousness. Suddenly, someone sternly ordered him to remain motionless, and at that moment, the wind raised clouds of dust that spread throughout the entire area. It was the girl who protected him with her huge shield and asked worriedly if he was okay. The guy, barely coming to his senses, asked in a weak voice who his savior was. Having emerged from the dark forest and stepped onto the streets of the city of White Rondo, the young man realized that this was exactly how he had imagined the city of budding adventurers to be. Lively streets, noisy markets, an atmosphere of constant adventure, and the expectation of great achievements. In addition, taking a look at the Adventurers Guild building, he noted that it was impressive in its scale, and seemed to him to be a truly grandiose structure. This is where his journey as a true adventurer begins, full of trials, discoveries, and dizzying adventures that will change his destiny forever. Deciding not to delay the start of his mission, he resolutely pushed open the heavy wooden doors and boldly walked inside the guild building, preparing to face his future. A huge crowd of people appeared before his eyes. The atmosphere was filled with energy and anticipation of new adventures. Suddenly, the young man realized with amazement that all the people gathered here were participants in the adventurer exam. This news left him in a state of mild shock because the number of candidates turned out to be much larger than he had initially expected. Ratsu thought about the common rumor that the success rate for the exam was consistently below 1. If you failed, you would have to patiently wait for half a year until the next time, which was highly undesirable for an ambitious, aspiring adventurer. Despite everything, the guy firmly believed in his own strength and was determined to overcome any difficulties in order to become a full-fledged member of the Brotherhood of Adventurers and begin a real career as an adventurer. He declared that he would definitely become an adventurer like his sister Ruby. But then his memory helpfully reminded him of the girl who had saved him, asking about his well-being after the monster had attacked him in the forest. As she made it clear, the young man should entrust the situation to her and immediately run away. The guy wondered who this girl was and whether an experienced adventurer had rushed to his rescue, risking his own life to save a stranger. He recalled how he had looked in amazement at her huge shield, which looked unusually strong and had the signs of a rare artifact that surpassed ordinary protective items. To his great relief, the headache disappeared as suddenly as it had appeared, and the lost energy began to return, restoring his former vigor and readiness to act further. Ratsu noticed that his old rusty sword had once again taken on its usual form, losing traces of its recent transformation, and becoming as unremarkable as it had been before. He thought that the cursed magic sword was the true form of this mysterious artifact. The young man quickly grabbed his trusty blade and resolutely moved towards danger, preparing to show what he was capable of in a fair fight. The stranger tried to hold him back, doubting that the boy would be able to withstand the threat with only a simple rusty sword. She wanted to prevent a pointless attempt, considering his efforts doomed to failure. The boy instantly cut the huge Trent in half, causing genuine shock to the girl. She could not believe her eyes, seeing how an ordinary rusty sword transformed into something immeasurably dangerous, turning into a terrible sinister artifact whose nature she could not comprehend. The girl sympathetically inquired whether the boy was feeling okay. He answered in the affirmative and sincerely expressed gratitude for the timely support and rescue. Ratsu admitted that using his special artifact was tiring him out. The adventurer noticed that at the crucial moment, the boy's sword briefly took on a different appearance, demonstrating previously unseen strength and features. Suddenly the young man realized that he had not yet introduced himself and said that his name was Ratsu, Sutan. After hesitating a bit, the girl loudly answered that her name was Daya Karatsu, blushing slightly from the unexpected frankness. She said that she had to leave and asked about the boy's plans. The boy explained that he was going to rest a little to regain his strength after the ordeal. The time had come to part, and the heroine smiled warmly, keeping in her memory the memory of the meeting that had given everyone valuable lessons in friendship and mutual assistance. Saying goodbye to the girl, the guy deeply realized that someone had been helping him throughout his life. But this continued only until today. From that moment on, the young man swore that he would now become a support and protection for all those dear and close to him, dedicating his life to serving justice and protecting the weak. Moreover, he suddenly realized that there were many people around who owned special artifacts, and he learned to recognize them with one glance, intuitively determining the nature of the abilities of each object. Suddenly, an indignant voice was heard from the crowd, expressing dissatisfaction with the rudeness and inattention of those around them, disturbing the peace. It turned out that a small child, a girl, had encountered the visitors of the guild, accidentally getting into the thick of the human flow. People looked at her with bewilderment, wondering why the little girl would be in such a difficult and dangerous place. Climbing up to the stage, the girl loudly announced that she was Janet Chamu, an examiner. Despite her childish appearance, she noted that she had already undergone the blessing ceremony, confirming her age and right to hold the position of an adult examiner. One of the guys in the crowd indignantly expressed that he considered it absurd for a female employee to be an examiner of a child. Janet explained that today's test would take place in a dangerous area, the Nanashiki Forest, and the candidates would have to find a special doll that she had specially prepared for the competition. The participants understood that the task was to find an ordinary toy doll, but many considered this task too easy and primitive, doubting the seriousness of the proposed test. However, the examiner sarcastically emphasized that the forest is inhabited by numerous insidious creatures, kobolds, known for their love of stealing various objects from people. Therefore, she expressed the assumption that the sought-after dolls had long since become the prey of greedy little thieves. Ratsu realized that the area allotted for the exam would be a dangerous zone teeming with monsters. The knowledge that the test would involve both the ability to find objects and combat skills dispelled the illusion of a simple task. The adventurer exam was not going to be an easy task. The girl added to the information, saying that in addition to kobolds, there are other dangerous creatures in the forest, so the responsibility for the safety of the candidates falls solely on them. She also warned that the number of dolls sought is limited. The guy realized that the exam would turn into a real competition between all participants. The fight for rare dolls, rivalry, and competition would become key elements of the event. The winner would be the one who could demonstrate the best qualities of a leader and a survivor. Janet warned that killing rivals was considered a crime, but the young men would have to face renegades. Thinking about these words, the boy tried to imagine how cruel and unpredictable such encounters could be. Renegades are people who have abused the power of their artifacts and gone over to the dark side of the law. Participants in the exam will not only have to pass the test of searching, but also engage in battles with such dangerous opponents. The girl continued her explanation, noting that cooperation between participants is acceptable. Future adventurers will be able to form teams, going through the tests together. However, each group is obliged to find enough dolls for all members of the group. Ratsu was not sure whether he would even be able to find a suitable partner for cooperation, given the diversity of views, ranks, and ambitions among those seeking the title of adventurer. Janet concluded the briefing by emphasizing that exactly 2 hours were allotted to complete the task, after which the examination procedure officially began. Suddenly, one guy shouted to another, admiring the quality of his artifact and offering to join forces, creating an alliance to overcome difficulties together. They shook hands firmly, solemnly promising each other that they would definitely overcome all obstacles and achieve success by passing the difficult test. Ratsu wondered if there would be anyone willing to team up with him, especially considering that his own sword, when activated, took on a sinister appearance associated with demonic artifacts. Suddenly, he heard someone's loud cry, attracting his attention and making him alert. The voice was shouting at a familiar girl, Daya, who was passionately begging to be accepted into the group. The boy immediately guessed that she was probably also participating in the competition, needing the support of her comrades to increase her chances of success. The girl was bombarded with a stream of caustic remarks from another contestant, who was perplexed as to why she should form a group with such an incompetent, clearly incapable of contributing to the common cause. Seeing Daya's humiliation, Ratsu remembered how he himself had often been told that he could never be a hero or an adventurer, writing off his abilities and tenacity as a lack of qualifications. The memory increased his sympathy for the girl standing before a hostile audience. The criticizing girl continued her attacks, claiming that real adventurers destroy demons, while the girl had a shield artifact that was completely powerless against even one demon. She asked if she herself believed in the possibility of becoming an adventurer with such mediocre weapons. The boy nervously clenched his fists, holding back his anger. The criticizing candidate continued to insist, stating that the exam was based on killing monsters, and doubtfully asked whether Daya would be able to get even one toy doll in a real competition. She added dismissively that if the other candidates refused to communicate with her, then she shouldn't count on their help just because of their common village of origin. She tried to object. However, the girl, having lost control, raised her voice and raised her hand, intending to strike Daya. At the last moment, the aggressor's hand was intercepted by a quick movement of Ratsu, preventing a potential bad incident. Intercepting her hand, the guy met the look of the offended girl, on whose face a mixture of irritation and hostility towards him was clearly visible. Her eyes flashed lightning bolts of indignation, and her lips were tightly pressed, demonstrating an internal struggle of emotions. The young man intervened sharply, declaring that such treatment was unacceptable and crossed all boundaries of decency. The aggressor, noticing the intervention of a stranger, looked at him angrily and demanded to explain who he was. Daya happily recognized her friend, and the critical girl realized that they knew each other well. Unhappy with the interference of a third party, she rudely addressed the guy, demandingly asking what he wanted here. The guy looked warmly at his girlfriend and invited her to join his team. The offender was furious at the proposal she heard, considering it absurd and stupid. Her face was distorted with displeasure, and her voice trembled with indignation, as if accusing the guy of lacking common sense and seriousness in his approach to the matter. Ratsu gently explained that he saw the perfect combination of their talents and abilities, so he invited his friend to join him. Adding that he was glad to meet his savior again, he caused deep surprise and irritation in her offender. The guys from the neighboring team mockingly noted that, apparently, she intended to cooperate with a participant who was incapable of defeating even a simple monster. They added that the guy's artifact was so bad that it was completely covered in rust. Janet reported that this year is rich in talented children who promise a great future. Among them are both especially gifted children and potentially dangerous individuals. As for students who are prone to risk, the organization is ready to support them. It's already been 30 minutes since the start of the exam. The boys noticed that the forest looked surprisingly calm. The sun's rays played on the leaves, creating a play of 7 colors, similar to the glow of a precious stone. If the monsters weren't in charge here, the forest would probably become a popular tourist attraction. Ratsu thought it would be great if they didn't have to fight monsters. But it looks like it won't be that easy. They need to find the kobolds as soon as possible. The guy thought about it. It was possible that the girl was embarrassed to work in tandem with him, perhaps she felt insecure or uncomfortable. Meanwhile, she timidly tried to say something, but the words stuck in her throat, preventing her from expressing her feelings clearly and understandably. Daya hesitantly asked what exactly he meant when he said they were perfect for each other. The question sounded a little scared, betraying her inner turmoil. Looking at his girlfriend's confused expression, the young man realized that she had misunderstood his words, mistakenly interpreting friendly intentions as romantic interest. The young man tried to explain in an accessible way the reasons why they were a perfect couple, emphasizing their complementary strengths. But suddenly the girl interrupted his sentence with a sharp cry, warning of the appearance of a large monster. She reacted with lightning speed, putting up a strong shield, reliably covering Ratsu and protecting him from possible enemy attacks. The boy focused on attacking actions, confidently drawing his trusty sword, ready to use all available skills and abilities to effectively confront the enemy. Having defeated another monster, the young man realized the simple truth that the girl protects his back, allowing him to focus on the battle, and he ensures victory over enemies. This strategy of interaction is an ideal symbiosis, providing maximum efficiency in the fight against dangers. He clarified that frequent use of the cursed sword causes headaches, so the guy can use it for about half an hour. If you exceed the limit, there is a high risk of going crazy. With his girlfriend's reliable protection, the young man would be able to fight freely, focusing solely on winning. Daya asked him in surprise if he really thought she could protect him. She was used to being a victim, often crying and being constantly teased by her peers. Because of this, most of the guys refused to include her in their team, considering her too weak and useless in team competitions. Coming closer, the guy emphasized that although her artifact was not distinguished by combat power, her kind heart and desire to help others made her a special and valuable person. Comrade listened to his speech with undisguised surprise, clearly not expecting such an assessment of her own merits. The young man concluded his speech by saying that this is why she is a strong person, capable of overcoming any difficulties and achieving success despite external circumstances. Suddenly, the critical lady cast a powerful Shiden spell, turning her attention to the rival team. She attacked the opponents, blurring the line between competitive fighting and direct confrontation. The aggressive girl turned out to be Asti, the same person who had previously publicly humiliated Daya, saying that she was only good for the role of a useless team member. Today, however, she decided to put an end to the confrontation. The guy quickly assessed the situation and seriously asked the girls what their team's plans were for further strategy of behavior in the current conflict situation. Asti confidently confirmed that the rules allowed them to fight the renegades for the dolls. When the young man pointed out that their team had no dolls, the leader of the opposing team pointed back with a smug smile. Behind the boys, a monster was rapidly approaching, ready to attack at any moment. The danger was growing, forcing the young warriors to tense up and prepare for the inevitable clash. Daya quickly put up her strong shield, reliably covering them from the blow, and the young man instantly identified the attacking creature as a kobold, the main opponent of the current stage of the exam. The girl held her defense with all her might, repelling the numerous blows of the enraged monster, rushing forward with an endless supply of aggression and hatred. The shield shook from the weight of each attack, threatening to break under the onslaught of the beast. The young man, who had been closely monitoring the situation, managed to notice an important fact, and turned to his companion, saying that the kobold had one of the necessary dolls. Asti, smiling condescendingly, declared that the competitors wanted to appropriate the doll they were hunting for, cynically calling the opponents simple thieves seeking to take advantage of someone else's achievements. However, she coldly acknowledged that fate had decreed otherwise, and resolutely ordered her assistants, Spinel and Laz, to immediately attack the enemy, confident of a successful conclusion to the conflict. The guy instantly realized that the whole scene was staged, specially planned by the rivals to force them into an unnecessary fight and knock them out of the race for the prize places. Spinel and Lazu demanded that they be given two unique magical techniques, the fire sickle and the ice sickle, provoking the other team into conflict and turning both sides against each other. Daya's shield with a powerful blow, producing a dull metallic sound that made her ears ring. The girl tensed, making every effort to withstand the attack. The rivals, looking at each other in confusion, could not understand why the shield had withstood the attack, remaining whole and unharmed. Meanwhile, her teammate asked her companion if she was okay, receiving an affirmative answer. The kobold began an active attack, but the young man, drawing his sword, resolutely declared that he would not allow further ill treatment and would personally take part in the defense, protecting his companion. Asti used the magic spell, Shiden, sending a devastating attack straight towards her opponents, wanting to speed up the end of the clash and demonstrate her absolute superiority. However, Daya once again stood up for her defense. Smiling, the attacker noted that such a scenario was predictable, but added that a defensive position would not lead to victory if the opponents only intended to avoid conflicts without taking active steps. A friend worriedly inquired about the condition of his girlfriend, who was experiencing another attack. She confidently reassured her comrade, confirming that her artifact remained operational and fully suitable for further protection. The rival was irritated by the fact that their team, being unable to defeat the monster on their own, was convincing that everything was fine. It seemed that their unification really turned out to be a perfect example of effective synergy. Asti sarcastically commented that it seemed absurd to expect to be an adventurer with an arsenal consisting of a simple shield and a rusty sword. She asked her rivals to stop trying to convince her otherwise and not to make her laugh. Suddenly, the kobold turned around and went on the offensive directly at the girl. Her comrades tried to warn her of the danger, advising her to be careful, but she remained unperturbed, asking the monster to voluntarily return the stolen doll and go away. Ratsu's sword suddenly began to return to its original form, taking on the features of a mystical weapon. At the same time, the leader of the opposing team, sensing danger, commanded Spinel and Lazu to turn around and inspect the area behind them. The young man skillfully and swiftly dealt with the kobold, causing sincere amazement and awe in both girls who were watching him. Asti exclaimed in panic that her comrades' artifacts were of level C. She found it difficult to comprehend how the boy had managed to defeat two strong opponents at once and still remain unharmed. She frantically wondered who this daring newcomer was who had managed to turn the entire course of the battle around. Ratsu coldly reminded that he was a candidate for the title of adventurer, just like Asti and Daya. Furthermore, he emphasized that if the opponents had his friend's shield, they could successfully block his attack, avoiding defeat. Continuing to develop the theme of cooperation, the young man suggested that by joining forces with his comrade, their team could effectively block any enemy attacks. However, the leader of that team interrupted him, asking him to be silent and stop being so selfish, arguing that there is no reliable information. The guy kindly offered the injured girls to repair the damaged artifacts in the church and promised to take them to the city. The offer caused sincere amazement and mistrust among the former rivals, accustomed to tough competition and intrigue. The young man continued to insist, emphasizing that despite the formality of the exam, he felt guilty for damaging the artifacts. However, Asti rejected his proposal. The three girls go deeper into the forest, moving further and further away from the heroes, when suddenly, Daya shouts at Asti, but the girl does not even turn around and continues on her way. Ratsu moves away from the girl, walking towards the doll. He bends down, picking up the doll. The man turns his head, looking at his friend, Daya. The guy stands silently, looking at the doll. Suddenly, he gets inspired and, turning to the girl, says that now they have received one doll, and now she can become an adventurer, but the girl silently stands with her back to him. Suddenly, Ratsu notices that Daya is crying bitterly, tears streaming down her cheeks. A girl in a sad mood tells a man that it is really impossible for everything to be like before. The guy looks at her silently and then asks what happened to her. Daya watches the three girls walk away and tells the boy that they used to be childhood friends in their village. She says that Asti taught her a lot. The girl says that Asti helped her in everything, in her studies and in her training. She says that she was her sister. The girls behind Asti are talking to each other about how this Pankotsu dared to do this to their artifacts. They say that they wanted to be the best in this exam, but the girl doesn't pay attention to them. Asti is very angry. She thinks that now it should be her turn, because she found a way to run fast and learned not to lose in battle. She thinks that she even learned to study effectively. The girl knows that she worked harder than anyone else, because she tried to become better and make friends with everyone. Asti realizes that if she becomes a better person, she will never be alone. The girl holds out her hand with the bracelet, saying that it is a B-rank Shiden bracelet. Asti's friends praise her, saying that she is the best and that she has the best artifact. Little Daya also congratulates her friend with admiration, to which the girl pets her little friend and thanks her in return, wishing her luck. The girl thanks her and admits that she has to hurry. Asti's friends also congratulate her friend, to which she thanks them and notices something behind her. She hears the girl asking the boy what he just said, to which he replies that he couldn't really hear it, but he heard that it was an A-rank shield of immortality. Asti is surprised by what she heard. Suddenly, she notices her friend on stage with this rare artifact. Daya tries to justify herself, but she only asks for forgiveness from Asti. The girl, looking at her friend, does not understand what she means by saying, sorry. Asti does not understand why Daya has an A-rank artifact and she has a B-rank. The girl wonders where her life went wrong and whether all her efforts were in vain. Daya looks at her with genuine regret, but the girl still doesn't understand why she should feel sorry for the man who took everything from her. Asti wakes up from her memories and hears her friends apologizing. The girl asks what happened, to which the girls respond that the artifacts were destroyed and now they don't know what to do. Asti puts her hand on her chest and confidently declares that she will quickly fix everything and pass this exam. She claims that they will be the greatest adventurers. The girl looks at her friends and thanks them for always being with her. The girls, standing in the middle of the forest, talk about how they are interested in who this swordsman was anyway. They notice that his rusty artifact suddenly changed. One of the girls laughs and says that her friend was so scared at that moment, to which her interlocutor replies that Spinel was ready to cry. Asti looks at her friends with a warm smile and then says that it is time for them to go. Suddenly, the girl notices a suspicious aura behind her friends. She gets scared and sharply orders them to dodge, worrying about them. The girls dodge, when suddenly large claws strike them, hitting them. The girls land on the ground, holding their wounded hands. They don't understand what happened, when suddenly Asti appears in front of them, hiding them behind her back and protecting them. Suddenly, a cat woman with ears and a tail appears. Laughing nervously, she licks the blades with her cat tongue, saying that it was really disappointing because she thought that they would notice her sooner, but unfortunately, their intuition failed them. Asti is frightened, realizing that a demon is standing in front of her. Daya addresses her friend, saying that she wants to be friends again, like before. She tells her that she wants to be an adventurer with her. The guy turns to the girl's friend and says that she doesn't have to go back to the old days. Daya, not understanding, asks him again. The man replies that they should become adventurers together. The guy says that from now on she can become her friend, they sister. The girl, pressing her hands to herself, asks again, is it really possible to remain just friend? Ratsu raises her fist and says with joy that now she is not a sister who follows her, but now she is a friend who stands next to her. The girl smiles sincerely and, laughing, thanks the guy. The girl confesses that she wants to be her friend. While the guys are talking to each other, the demon seriously wounds Asti. The girl falls to the ground, breathing heavily. Her friends worry about her. The demon, sitting on a tree and using invisibility, replies that this is an unexpected gift for her because the adventurers themselves came to the forest where she was resting. The demon says that this is a delightful hunting ground, full of delicious adventurers. The girl, looking menacingly ahead, muses that she does not think that Spinel and Lazu will be able to repel the demon's attacks, since he also has the invisibility skill. She realizes that the fact that she appeared at the moment of the attack may mean that she cannot actively move while the skill is activated. The girl came up with a plan. When suddenly she rushed from the place, heading towards the demon and attacking, the Catwoman was surprised by what she saw, clearly not expecting it. Asti turns to her friends and says that she will hold her off, but for now, they must run away. The girls are scared and do not understand what she is talking about because they would never agree to such a thing. The girl screams and orders them. She says that she can't fight to protect them, so if they don't run away, they will all be killed. Suddenly, a demon appears to the right of the girl, piercing her shoulder with a blade. Asti screams in pain and surprise. The girl, feeling the intense pain received from the demon, remembers Daya. Ratsu and Daya walk along the forest, looking around. Suddenly, the guy turns to the girl and, suspecting something, asks if everything is okay with her. Daya is silent and, thinking, looks to the side. The girl, very worried, replies that she has a bad feeling and decides that she needs to go back. Asti, exhausted and badly injured, tries to get up. Her friends are very worried about her. They call her and ask if she is okay. The demon, watching what is happening, is simply having fun. Asti, turning to her friends, says that everything is fine and that it is just a scratch. She asks them not to worry about her and that they should run away quickly, to which the girls refuse and say that they cannot leave her alone. The girl sits with her back to them and, without turning around, loudly orders them to run away. Her friends look at her with regret and despair. Not daring to argue any longer, the girls trust their friend and run away along the forest. The demon raises her blades and with a wide smile says that all this is useless because she will catch up with them and destroy them. To which Asti rises, spreading her arms, and arrogantly says that it is not that simple. She says that she has noticed the demon's weakness. Suddenly, the Catwoman disappears from the girl's sight in a split second, to which she is surprised by the speed. The long tail of the cat demon is wrapped around the girl's neck. Asti is scared and grabs the tail, trying to free herself, to which the demon raises his hands and only laughs. The girl does not understand how the demon is so fast. The demon squeezes Asti's neck tighter and asks with a sly smile if the girl really means that when she attacks, she needs to exit the invisibility mode. To which the girl gets very nervous from what she heard and holds the demon's tail tighter so as not to suffocate. The demon approaches, holding the blades to the girl's neck. She says that at that moment she realized that the girl was a good catch, but she has the speed to compensate for that. She says that she means that she and the twins will not be able to escape and that she will destroy them. Asti clenches her fist. She understands that she needs to stall for time as much as possible. She asks the demon why she needs to attack people, to which the demon, holding the girl by the chin, looks at her in surprise. The demon says that they are blessed by killing humans, and humans are blessed by killing demons. Catwoman pierces the girl's skin, saying that there is another reason besides this. Scratching the girl's skin, the demon says that she likes to play with people. She asks the girl to cry and beg her to save her life. The girl narrows her eyes, looking at her. The demon says that she is ignoring her because it is so boring. The demon says that since the girl does not want to talk, it is time to end the game. To which Asti agrees that it is time to end. The demon is surprised by what he heard. The girl clenches her fist, using her maximum accumulation of magical power. She swings her hand, aiming it at the demon, using her Shidon to the maximum, to which the demon is pierced by a large lightning bolt. Asti waves his hand, and the demon flies away as far as possible with great speed. The girl holds her hand in front of her, sighing heavily. She looks forward, realizing that she did it and that she was able to buy the girl's time, when suddenly she hears the demon answer that her true speed is this lightning. The girl is very surprised, clearly not expecting to hear the demon's voice again. The smoke clears, and an electrified demon emerges, saying that the same attribute won't work on her, because her magic is dark lightning. The girl is surprised and scared. Is this really a demon? Suddenly, the Catwoman jumps up from her place, heading towards the girl. Asti puts out her hand, defending herself, but the demon pierces her hand with his blades. The girl is frightened by what she saw. The demon deals heavy damage to the girl, to which she screams in fear and pain, to which the demon waves his blades and replies that she has a good scream and wants to hear more. Catwoman says that she will continue to deal damage to the enemy. The girl is tired, holding on with her last strength and hoping that her friends manage to escape. The demon prepares to strike again. The girl thinks that everything is fine, because there is still a way to deal with this. She knows that she has worked hard in such cases so far, and she understands that it is possible to recharge the artifact. But suddenly the girl realizes that she can't cope. She is afraid, and tears start to flow down her cheeks. Sitting on the ground, she begins to silently call for help. Suddenly, Daya runs at high speed, hurrying to help her old friend. But the demon doesn't hesitate either. She swings her blade, intending to deliver a treacherous blow to the girl. But a moment later, Daya's shield appears in front of her. Catwoman flies away, surprised by what she sees. The girl looks up with tired and tearful eyes and hears Daya answer that everything is fine now. Asti's eyes widen as she sees her old friend, clearly not expecting to see her. To which Daya, holding her shield, firmly replies that she will protect her no matter what. The demon, seeing the girl, starts laughing loudly, thinking that this is new prey. But suddenly, she hears someone shouting, "Black Flame!" The demon is frightened by what he heard. Suddenly, a huge blow flies at her. Asti's friends run to the guys, worried about her and Ratsu. The girl starts crying, apologizing sincerely to her, to which Asti asks why and what they are doing here. The friend replies that she should not cry and quickly provide her with first aid. Daya, still holding the shield, turns around and addresses the girls, saying that she had a bad feeling. She sees her friends already giving first aid to Asti. She remembers how the girls run to her and the swordsman, begging and asking for help. Asti, looking at her bandaged hand, admits that she managed to survive. The girl turns to her former friend, asking why they saved her, since she had spoken badly about her entire life. But before she could finish speaking, Daya interrupts and says with a warm smile that they saved them because they were friends. Asti is overcome by what she heard, and bitter tears begin to flow down her cheeks. Suddenly, a demon emerges from the rubble, saying that these are really her friends. Demona begins to become filled with anger, and she says that she wants to see tears not of peace of mind, but tears of pain, saying this with a nervous smile. Suddenly, a wild-faced Catwoman rushed forward and, running up, asked what would happen if she tore her friend apart right in front of her. But Ratsu suddenly appears in front of her, blocking the blow and delivering his own, to which the demon does not even have time to react. The demon, blocking his sword with her blades, tells him not to stand in her way and asks him to let her do it. Catwoman speeds up, swinging her blades and saying that she will grant the magic of Dark Storm. But the guy blocks her blow, which slightly throws the demon back. The man notices that the demon is very fast. He says that he grants the magic of black flame, and his sword is covered with a black aura in the form of flame. The guy swings at the demon with great power, but she manages to dodge. Catwoman is surprised by such great power and asks what kind of child this is. Suddenly, the guy, without wasting a second, strikes again, cutting off the demon's tail. The demon notices that her tail is cut off and begins to curse, seething with anger. The boy realizes that he still has little knowledge or experience in fighting, but with this magic sword he can win. But suddenly, a moment later, he feels something sharp and drops his sword. The man suddenly had a headache. The demon, not expecting such an outcome, is surprised and asks what is happening. She notices that the artifact's appearance has changed. The demon sees that there is now a rusty old sword lying on the ground and wonders if there is a time limit for this artifact. One of them laughs, admitting that he is a funny boy, but she will destroy him anyway. She strikes, but the girl's shield appears in front of her. Daya appeared in front of the boy in time, protecting him while he recovers. The demon is scared to see this girl again. The demon gets angry and says that he will crush this artifact. To which Asti, looking at Daya, replies that this is impossible because it is an eternal shield and its durability is infinite. The demon is angry and surprised. She asks if it is true that it is infinite, and wonders how it is even possible and how this girl was able to get it. The demon, using acceleration magic again, says that the boy's artifact and the girl's shield are disgusting, but they are useless against her. A second later, the demon disappears, and the boy wonders where she went. To which the girl only closes her eyes, listening. A moment later, the demon strikes the girl, but she reacts in time, putting up her shield. The demon gets angry, wondering how this is possible. The girl replies that it may be an accident and asks what the demon is going to do next. Catwoman uses acceleration magic again, striking, but also to no avail. The demon gets even angrier, asking who they are anyway, since they aren't even adventurers yet. To which Daya glares at the demon. The guy remembers that all this time that she protected him, it was not an accident. He realized that it wasn't that she saw the monster before anyone else or noticed the enemy's movement. He now realized that she foresees the future. The enemy, the Catwoman, disappears in front of them again. The boy picks up his sword, which is once again fit for use, and asks the girl where the enemy is now. The girl turns around, listening to him attentively. She closes her eyes, anticipating the future. Suddenly, she opens her eyes and points her finger to where the demon will appear. The enemy appears in a split second, a Catwoman, striking the guy, but he is already prepared for this, defending himself. The man, with some excitement and even slight fear, admits to slight surprise that the demon is indeed incredibly fast and swift, to which he jumps back with slight confusion and says with general sincerity that he will never under any circumstances be able to touch her. The demon, doubled over with laughter, begins to laugh hysterically, getting angry and cursing throughout her speech, saying with deafening wit that she will destroy everyone, without exception all of her opponents. The guy, thinking about the situation, understands that even if he can, somehow, defeat her in this battle. The guy exhales, says that everything is fine and he will boldly try again no matter what. The man decides to use magic called Shaden to try to change the course of events. Suddenly, the demon is pierced by black lightning again, causing a shocking impression, to which she only sighs, as if not attaching much importance to it. Catwoman, furious and full of emotion, begins to scream with rage that didn't she say that this wouldn't work, that it was all predetermined. Suddenly, as if at the very moment when all this is happening, Amista screams that it needs to be carried now. And a split second later, as if by magic, Ratsu appears behind the demon, delivering a powerful blow. The demon clearly did not expect such a turn of events, such a sudden change. The man, feeling a surge of confidence, delivers a strong vertical blow to the demon, to which the Catwoman, to her great regret, does not have time to react and does not have time to defend herself. The boy decisively cuts the demon in half, defeating it, and it soon begins to disappear into thin air, fluttering away. The girls standing nearby are amazed at the sight, and Daya, overwhelmed with joy, with a wide smile on her face, begins to shout loudly that they did it, that they managed to defeat the out-of-control threat. To which the man easily, with incredible sincerity, replies that it is all thanks to her and Amistia, thanks to their spiritual strength and courage. The guy, full of respect, approaches her, to which the girl is slightly surprised and looks at him with interest. The man smiles, and thanks to this reaction of hers, which embarrasses her a little, the girl, embarrassed, tries to say something, but the words seem to get stuck in her throat. Suddenly, the guys hear that the exam time is rapidly coming to an end. Hearing this, Ratsu and Daya get scared, realizing that they only have one doll. The guy takes it out and doesn't understand what to do now. The man realizes with horror in his heart that either he or Daya will pass, and that one, unfortunately, will not be able to become an adventurer. This realization overwhelms him, leaving only a shadow of anxiety in his soul. At night, dangerous people walk through the forest. They loudly ask each other if anyone has found the girl, because she needs to be tracked down before she gets to the city. The girl looks out of the bushes in fear, watching them. She heals her injured arm with the help of restoration magic, when suddenly after a couple of seconds, the process stops. The girl approaches the edge of the cliff, watching the night landscape of the forest. She gets very angry when she looks at the trees and thinks that the adventurers are to blame for everything. In the city, a man approaches Rats, asking him to tell them about the demon attack once the exams are over. The boy agrees, then he looks away, looking at the only doll. The man looks at the doll with a serious face, thinking and pondering his next steps. Suddenly, Daya calmly approaches from behind, calling the guy. The man turns around and places the doll in her hands. He holds it without letting go and says that the girl should become an adventurer. Daya looks at the doll in surprise. The girl starts to panic and talks the guy out of it. She says that he defeated the demon and got the doll. She thinks that he should become an adventurer. The man reassures the girl, telling her that when they first met, his adventure could have ended right there. Daya looks at him in surprise. The guy holds her hands together with the doll, saying that she was protecting a stranger, because this is a village and kindness undoubtedly protects many people. He squeezes her palms tightly, looking at the doll and sincerely congratulating her. Without letting go of her hands with the doll, Asti suddenly appears. She watches them and asks how long the guy is going to hold her hand. The man turns around abruptly, letting go of the girl's hand. He clearly didn't expect to see her now, and Daya is embarrassed by what's happening. Asti, with a bandaged hand and a sly smile, asks if they are really a couple. The boy is embarrassed by the girl's words, trying to deny it. Daya, worried about the girl, says that she is injured and therefore needs to rest. And Asti sighs, saying that she knows and will soon go to rest. When suddenly she takes out a doll and throws it up. The doll lands right in the guy's hands. He successfully catches it and wonders why the girl did that. Asti tells him that the doll is useless to the three of them, so she will lend it to him. The guy is surprised by the girl's action. Asti walks further into the city, past Daya, not paying any attention to her. Daya, noticing this, turns around, about to ask her something. But Asti, without turning around, tells the girl to remember. She turns around with a wide, warm smile and says she'll catch up with her soon. The girl breathes out in relief and, with tears welling up in her eyes, smiles brightly, saying that she will be looking forward to it. The guys look at the three friends leaving, and the guy asks the girl if everything is okay with her, to which she loudly replies that everything is fine. Suddenly, someone addresses the guys, saying that they are the only two who have not yet completed the procedure. The heroes are surprised to hear an unknown voice. The boys turn around and see Janet. She tells them that it was their fault for allowing the demon to invade, but the girl admits that she is now very grateful to them. The girl looks at them carefully and says that from now on, their life will be more dangerous. A woman with serious intentions declares that from today on, they are adventurers. The girl and the guy are embarrassed because they were very happy to hear this statement. The guys came to the bar to celebrate their promotion. They joyfully clink glasses with cocktails. The girl turns to the guy, saying that all this is very expensive, to which the guy raises his fist and happily replies that today is a holiday and therefore they have the right to rest today. He says that he still has plenty of money that he received from his mother, to which the girl becomes embarrassed and worried, saying that she can pay the bill. Ratsu suddenly remembers and asks the girl that when he was returning from the guild, he accidentally overheard Asti talking about his apology for the demon attack. He tells her that they were allowed to take the exam in a week, to which the girl is worried and happy for her friend at the same time. The man says that she shouldn't worry about them. She replies that she agrees because she understood everything. She wipes the tears from her face and with a warm smile replies that they couldn't become adventurers together, but someday they will have adventures together. The guy is surprised by the girl's words. The man, in support, replies that she is right. The girl is surprised, clearly not expecting such an answer, and asks again what he means. The guy confesses his secret that he also has someone he promised to become an adventurer. The man says that when he was weak, this man always protected him without thinking. After a short silence, the girl, having dinner, says that she understands everything. Daya gets embarrassed and asks if he really wants to join him. The man, holding the mug, denies, saying that he is still far from him, because first he must level up. He looks at his reflection in the mug of drink, saying that someday he will become even stronger. The girl understood everything, and, looking at the guy sipping from his mug, asks if this is really a promotion test. She admits that her goal is to be above the white level. The guy gets it, and asks again about the white level. He admits that he understands that the girl is striving for the top. Daya looks down and asks if he knows about the dangerous area of the Shirogane cave. She tells him that you can't enter it unless you are a white level adventurer. The man asks why she wants to go to that dangerous place. The girl replies that she needs to go there, and that's why she became an adventurer. The girl with a serious face says that her parents are adventurers who never returned after going to Shirogane cave. She admits that she wants to find out what happened to them. The guy is surprised by what he hears. He asks if these are really her father and mother, to which the girl gets up, intending to confess something to him. She clasps his hands to hers and asks him with a sincere face if he would like to join their group, because she thinks they are a great couple, to which the man quietly laughs at the question he heard. The girl, seeing the guy's reaction, gets worried and asks why he is laughing. Having stopped laughing, the guy replies that he has simply heard it somewhere before, to which the girl becomes even more embarrassed. The man gets up from the table, eager to thank the girl, because he is so happy. He tells his real reason for wanting to become an adventurer. The man confesses that his goal is to become a hero and protect people. He asks her if it's okay for him to dream about such a thing, to which the girl happily smiles, agreeing with him that everything is fine. The boys unite into a group, saying that they will do their best and become great adventurers. The next day, Ratsu and Daya come to Janet. She says that they have finally arrived. The man greets Janet, asking what they can do for her, to which the girl replies that she forgot to give them something important because of the demon. She lays out 2 books on the table, saying that this is it. The boys pick up the books, holding them in their hands and looking at them. The boy asks what they are and what they are for. Janet explains that they are proof of completing the adventurer's notebook request, and that they will be able to obtain rewards and seals with their help. The boys look at their books in surprise. The guy is surprised by what he heard and asks what seals are, to which the girl explains that by collecting a certain number of seals, they will be able to pass the promotion test. The girl and the man are surprised that it is really possible to pass the promotion test with the help of seals in order to increase their rank. The girl asks if they really want to take the promotion test. She says that this is a city of budding adventurers, and the requests here are quite simple, and the rewards seals are small. Janet hands them a form, saying that she will provide them with the perfect local queries right away. The boys, holding their books, look at the form carefully. The man holds the form in his hand and asks if this is really a flyer for wanted dog. He asks if this is really the ideal request. The guy reads the form and says he thinks the reward is small, to which his girlfriend, reassuring him, replies that this is just the beginning. Janet says that if they want to get a high-paying query, why don't they change their base of activity? The girl asks her what it means to change the base. She says that there are unusual requests and that many adventurers take them on, starting from the copper class and ending with the black class. Suddenly, the girl gasps, clearly remembering something. Daya asks her what happened, to which the girl replies that the adventurer list who lives in Blustria disappeared not long ago. Daya asks what he means by disappeared and wonders if the man was captured by demons. The guy says that they need to think about everything, but for now, they will take a request for search for a dog. The man apologizes to the girl, saying that he decided everything himself. The girl replies that everything is fine, but insists, asking him what really happened. The guy replies that he became interested in this request because it was received only recently. The boy says that the dog they are looking for disappeared this morning near Nanashiki Forest. The girl says that this could be the place where they took the exam. The man agrees with her. He says that it will be bad if the impatient owner goes looking for him. The girl is surprised, having understood everything. The guy admits that perhaps Janet gave them this request on purpose, because if they had looked more closely and thought about something, but before he could finish speaking, the girl interrupts him, noticing something ahead of them. Daya approaches the tree, moving closer to the bushes and sitting down, looking at what has caught her interest. The guy is surprised by the girl's reaction and asks what happened there. The man approaches the girl, who at this time is looking attentively through the bushes. Suddenly, the guy notices that there are many goblins in hats and with clubs ahead. The man finds out that they are kobolds. He says that they spotted them and set up an ambush. The guy admits that they are very cunning, but the girl turns around sharply, telling the guy to look around. Suddenly, a large number of goblins approach the boys. The boy and girl are frightened, realizing that they are surrounded. The horrible kobolds laugh slyly, clearly plotting something. The guy understands that individually these creatures are not strong, but being surrounded by such a crowd can end badly. He understands that Daya will not be able to protect them from such a crowd. But suddenly the man decides that everything is fine, because he has a chance. He takes out blades from his back pocket. Daya, noticing the guy's weapon, realizes that it is the weapon of that very demon cat. The guy, without thinking, combines his sword and the demon's blades, creating a synthesis of artifacts. The kobolds watch closely and are surprised by the guy's actions, to which the guy says that he grants the magic, Black Flame, and after a moment, his sword becomes even stronger. The man narrows his eyes as he casts the spell, Double Magic, then gets into a fighting stance and raises his new sword as he casts the spell, Black Lightning. The girl is surprised by the guy's actions. She does not understand what is happening, but the man is already heading towards the tapestry, swinging his black sword. The kobolds are scared and run away, knowing that if he touches them, it will be the end for them. The guy swings at them, intending to strike, but the goblins jump back with fear in their eyes, running away from him. Daya worries about Ratsu, looking at him. The guy sees that his sword sparkles with black lightning and suddenly pierces him with a strong lightning. The girl gets scared and asks the guy if everything is okay. She asks if this is really an artifact of him and that same demon cat. The guy answers that this is a sword skill, a synthesis of artifacts, and you can synthesize, not only weapons but also skills. The man explains that it is possible to place two different abilities into one artifact. The guy admits that he was wondering if he could activate them simultaneously. The girl answers that she understands everything, but she admits that it will be a really special artifact. The guy understands that it is possible to activate double magic because his mind can bear it, but his body will not be able to withstand it. Suddenly, a little girl appears from the bushes holding a dog. She admits that it was amazing, but wonders what they are doing. Suddenly, the dog starts barking, and the heroes notice a dog barking. The girl, afraid that she will be discovered, runs away. At this time, the boy and girl go to the source of the sound, realizing that it came from this bush. Suddenly, a little further away, they see a girl sitting on the ground and a small dog. Daya asks if she is okay, but the man asks her not to rush. The man hides the girl behind his back, to which Daya is surprised and does not understand the guy's actions. The guy says that he suspected something was wrong with her. Suddenly, the man says that this girl is a demon. The girl is frightened by what she heard, realizing that she has been exposed. Daya asks again, not understanding. She says that this girl doesn't look like a demon at all. The guy says that he thinks they should report this to the Adventurers Guild quickly. The man understands that demons are enemies of people, but looking at the frightened girl, he understands that she is indistinguishable from a person. The guy begins to get nervous, because he does not understand whether he will be able to kill her. Ratsu recalls that he had read about heroes since childhood, but there was no doubt that the demons were the enemies of people. The man understands that the demons they encountered were a threat and enemies of people, but from now on, for the first time, he has doubts about them. A boy and a girl stand in front of a dog girl, and the boy asks himself if the demon in front of him is an enemy. The man slowly touches his sword, and the girl, noticing this and realizing that he is an adventurer, begins to shake with horror and fear. The guy looks at her and does not understand whether she is afraid, because from the demon's point of view, adventurers are enemies. The guy looks at the girl shaking with fear, arguing that this is why demons have attacked him until now. But the man admits that he does not feel any hostile danger from this demon. Suddenly, a small dog begins to bark at the hero, defending its girlfriend. A small dog barks at the boy with all its might, defending the girl, who herself did not expect this from her friend. Ratsu and Daya were surprised by the dog's behavior. The man remembers all the demons that tried to kill him. The guy thinks and does not understand what he needs to do now. The man ponders what he would do if he were a hero, and he wonders what Ruby would do in this situation. Ratsu pushes away unnecessary thoughts, because he understands that he has become an adventurer, so he must decide for himself. Suddenly, the man hears the little demon calling his brother. He sees the demon clutching her small hands, and the doctor calling his brother to help her. The man is shocked by what he sees, and after rethinking it, he lowers his sword. Suddenly, he extends his hand to the tearful girl as a sign of peace. The guy bends down slightly and with a warm smile, apologizes to her for scaring her. He asks if she is okay. Daya looks at him in surprise, clearly not expecting such an action from her friend. The girl is surprised and frightened even more, but suddenly she gets up and says that she is fine. Suddenly realizing, Daya smiles and says that it turns out it was that very dog. Well, the demon replies that he looked like a lost child, so they were together all this time. The heroes are surprised and ask the girl why she is in this forest. The guy asks if she is really lost, to which the demon turns his head away, holding the dog, saying that she is not lost at all. The man says he understands. He says it's dangerous to be alone here anyway. Daya picks up on the vibe and says they'll take her home, to which the demon hugs the little dog and confesses that she has nowhere to go, because she has no home. The heroes are surprised by what they hear. The girl looks sadly at the same lost dog and answers that this is the reason why she is not lost. The man is surprised by what is happening. Suddenly, the girl puts down the little dog and says that it is time for her to go, but the dog turns around and, rising on its hind legs, barks at her, clearly worried. The demon sits down next to the dog and tells her not to worry about it, because it is better for the dog to go with these people. Suddenly, the dog jumps on the girl, knocking her to the ground. The heroes are amazed by this sight. They watch as the little dog licks the demon as a sign of love, and the girl lies on the ground and laughs, asking the dog to stop because she is ticklish. Daya and Ratsu also start laughing at the cute situation that has arisen. The girl pets the dog, and the guy asks her if she wants them to talk to the Adventurers Guild about her help. The girl is surprised by what he said. Suddenly, she gets scared when she hears about the Adventurers Guild, to which the guy justifies himself, saying that, of course, he won't tell about her being a demon. Daya says that the girl needs to find a house, to which the man replies that everything needs to be done secretly. Suddenly, the girl shrinks and sadly replies that everything is fine, saying that she wants to be alone. The guy is surprised by what he heard, looking at the poor demon girl, when suddenly he feels something. A moment later, a large dagger flies at them. The guy, without thinking, grabs the girl, covering her from the blow, but the powerful magic still hits them. The guy and the demon are thrown to the side by a strong blow. Daya is very worried about them. The girl, looking at the shabby guy, asks if he is okay, to which he replies that he is fine. The demon girl is perplexed and with fear in her eyes asks why he helped her, because she is a demon, to which the man, breathing heavily, replies that although she is a demon, she is not an enemy. Suddenly, she remembers the man who said that he loved human bonds, and without thinking she reaches out her hand to the guy, intending to do something. She places her palm on his back and uses restoration magic to heal the boy. A moment later, the man stands up, noticing that his wounds have disappeared. The girl asks if this is healing magic. The man wonders why Future Sight didn't activate. He wonders if this attack wasn't aimed at them. Suddenly, a man unknown to them appears in front of them, saying that he has heard a lot of things. Suddenly, he orders the guy to get out of the way, to which Ratsu is surprised. Helio stands in front of them, scolding them. Suddenly, the boy remembers this man. They had crossed paths in childhood. Then more boys come out of the bushes, ordering the man not to go alone. Suddenly, they notice the guys and ask who it is. The man asks Helio if he really attacked the other adventurers, to which the guy replies that they are not adventurers. Suddenly, Ratsu greets Helio, saying that he too has become an adventurer. The boy is surprised by what he heard, and then laughs loudly, asking if they really don't have enough manpower to take someone like him. Suddenly, the man's mood changes, and orders the boy to answer why he is protecting the demon, to which the guy, covering the girl with his back, says that this child is not hostile. Helio starts to swear, and asks if the guy hasn't read all those books about heroes, because they said that demons and people are enemies. Suddenly, a man standing behind Helio asks if he is okay. He says that they received a request and were pursuing this demon as a suspect in the disappearance of an adventurer case. The guy holds out his hand and asks if he could give it to them. Daya is surprised by what she heard. The guy admits that Janet talked about it. Suddenly, the little demon is shaking with fear, trying to say something. The girl holds onto the guy's shirt and says with fear in her eyes that she doesn't know what's going on because it's not her. The demon asks the guy to believe her. The man grabs his weapon, saying that since he doesn't want to give up the demon, then he will take care of it here himself. Ratsu is frightened by what he hears, realizing that he will have to fight him. Helio's partners ask him to calm down and ask what he is going to do, to which the man swears and asks them to shut their mouths. He looks at the heroes with a stern gaze, saying that he will destroy the demon. Ratsu asks Taya to protect her. Helio scolds and says that this is the last time he warns him. He orders him to get out of the way. The guy grabs his sword, saying he refuses to do this, at which the man becomes even more angry and attacks him, hitting him with a spear. The guy blocks the blow but still flies back from the force. Suddenly, Helio flies in and punches him. Ratsu flies back from the blow, while the man curses, calling the guy different names. He starts kicking him, ordering the guy not to go against him. The man does not resist, allowing Helio to land the blows. The man's partners order him to stop. Suddenly, Daya appears in front of Helio, ordering him to stop. She stands in front of the guy, opening her arms, protecting him. The men ask if she is really making fun of them. He asks loudly if anyone else is really defending her. Helio covers his face with his hand, saying that when he sees such a pathetic guy, it upsets him very much. Helio looks through his hand with an evil look, to which the girl turns to him. She says the guy looks down on others. But the man furrows his brows and asks the woman if she recognizes who she is talking to. The girl raises her head and with a stern look says that she does not know who he is. She asks him who he is. Suddenly, the man, without answering, raises his spear, about to strike the girl, when suddenly, Ratsu appears, protecting her and blocking the blow. Helio looks at the guy's weapon and asks him what kind of artifact it is. Ratsu thanks Dayu, to which the girl replies that she is fine, because the guy should protect the girl first and foremost. Suddenly, Helio's partner tells the other that they have a chance while the demon is unprotected, to which the man replies that it is not the time yet. The man watches intently as his partner wonders why they can't do it now. Helio gets angry, saying that if it has changed on the outside, then it is still the same on the inside, and this will not change anything. The men cast the spell, Dear Magic of the Blood Spear. Ratsu understands that the first blow was taken by the one who relied on magic, because it is a huge force directed at one point. The guy understands that Helio, who initially had talent, gained combat experience 3 years before him. Ratsu understands that even if his artifact is better, it is not as good as Helio. The man understands that it is dangerous to attack directly. Suddenly the guy comes up with a plan and says, I grant magic. The man gets into a fighting stance, swinging the ball and casting the black lightning spell. The guy thinks that the first attacker will win, and he will destroy his artifact faster than he can attack. Helio smiles slyly and says that if the guy forgot about it, he will remind him. The guy gets into a fighting stance, saying that they are actually very different. Suddenly Ratsu starts attacking at high speed. The men are surprised at how fast he moves. But without thinking, he swings his spear, saying that he will destroy the guy. But the man dodges the blow in a split second. Ratsu screams and gathers his strength. The guy, being in an open place to strike, delivers a powerful blow directly to the spear, breaking it. Helio's teammates notice that his B-rank artifact has been destroyed. Ratsu, looking at the boy, apologizes to him. To which Helio gets angry and with a stern look, replies that the guy really thinks that, because he broke his artifact, he won. Ratsu, in his confusion and complete bewilderment, is surprised by everything he has heard, when suddenly, unexpectedly and without warning, the man grabs him by the edge of his shirt. The guy, without thinking twice, knocks the hero down to the hard ground, and with complete contempt, the man decides to declare loudly and clearly that in the end he is, unfortunately, not an adventurer, but just a loser, like many others. Helio, squeezing the guy tightly by the shirt, says that he is certainly a bad person, since he is defending their enemy, a demon, to which the man, without losing his composure, replies that although she is a demon, she is nevertheless not an enemy, because she helped him. After all, in a difficult moment, he asks if she is really an enemy, only because she belongs to the demonic race. Helio, turning his condemning gaze to the frightened girl, resolutely orders her to listen to him and only him. He starts swearing and insistently orders the girl to tell everyone that whose families, friends, and loved ones were brutally killed by demons. Were they really just not enemies? The guy gets even angrier, his anger grows, and, turning to Rats with irritation, says that he was going to betray an entire group of people for the sake of one single demon. He asks a rhetorical question: has he really forgotten what he said earlier, at the very beginning of their conversation? The man, deep in his soul, remembers a little boy who, with shining eyes, reads a book and says that he wants to be a hero. To which Ratsu, with full conviction, grabs Helio's hand and loudly declares that he, in earnest, helps everyone who asks for help, even if it is a demon that no one wants to deal with. The man, with a frown, replies with some sarcasm that he understands everything, and then swings his broken spear, declaring that he then becomes the enemy in this situation. At that very moment, as if by magic, people from the guild appear, ordering the guy to immediately stop and cease his actions. The man, who hasn't had time to calm down, says that the use of artifacts by adventurers without proper registration is a serious violation of safety rules. He asks with an angry, wary look if they really don't know this important rule. Ratsu, turning his head towards the man and embarrassedly surprised, wonders if this is really the guild staff who came to reprimand him. The man, with a displeased expression on his face, declares, looking at them with disdain, that no matter what the reason for their fight, they will both be punished. He orders them all to be prepared for the consequences. The townspeople don't understand what all the noise is about today. One of the residents says that they were told that a renegade had been captured. Janet sits in her office, talking about how noisy it is outside, and in front of her are Helio and Ratsu, who have turned away. The girl says that it is about a battle between adventurers using artifacts. Our employees witness the battle. She turns to Helio and Rats. Janet asks if they have anything to say in their defense. To which Helio points his finger at the guy, saying that he is not an adventurer because now he is a renegade. The man looks at him with an angry and contemptuous look, saying that he came to protect the demon. The girl turns to the guy, asking if what he says is true. Ratsu looks down and falls silent for a moment, then admits that it is all true. Daya is indignant and worried. She says that everything was not like that at all. She asks the guy why he doesn't tell anything. Helio turns away and steps aside, saying that he thought he had the courage to fight back. The man turns his head, addressing the boy, saying that he is a weakling and a crybaby, and that he can't even express his opinion. Ratsu lowers his gaze, and the girl in the form of his friend begins to worry even more. As suddenly other adventurers who took part in the situation appear and say that the guy was simply defending himself, because the one who started attacking without reason was Helio. To which the partner is indignant, and loudly asks if he is betraying his comrades. To which the man replies that since they are friends, he will not tell the truth and share responsibility. He says that Helio's rampages are common, but he has never attacked adventurers. The man says that it is a problem. He admits that he hesitated when he thought about it, but if they were true friends, they should have stopped him, like Daya did. Suddenly, an employee comes into the office, asking for forgiveness, and turns to Janet. The girl asks if the interrogation is over. The man comes up and whispers all the information to the girl, to which she replies that everything is clear. Janet addresses the heroes, saying that their story and the demon's story are basically the same. The girl says that Helio and his group will be punished and that they will be suspended for a week and their artifacts will be temporarily confiscated. A guild member orders them to hand over the artifacts, to which one of the adventurers begins to complain as the other tells him to act faster. Helio turns to her and says that he doesn't have time to play the adventurer like him. He says with his stern look that he won't be like her, to which the guy understood everything he was talking about. The group leaves, and the girl, confused, asks what he meant. Suddenly, Janet opens the door and invites them to go. The heroes walk down a long corridor, and Daya asks Ratsu why he didn't say anything in response. The man just laughs in response, and the girl asks what he could be laughing at. The guy admits that he was often asked this question. He remembers how since childhood a girl who always said that he was a boy, and he should answer to those who offended him. The man admits that it wasn't that he didn't want to answer. Suddenly, Janet turns around, looking at the heroes. Ratsu, looking at the girl, admits that he really wanted to help her. Janet asks if he really wanted to protect the enemy of humanity and be condemned by the world and eventually become an apostate. Daya listens to the girl's words in surprise. But the guy firmly replies that he was ready. Janet says that she understands everything and opens the door to the room. In the room, a little demon girl sits at the table. Janet admits that they decided that she had nothing to do with the disappearance of the adventurers, to which the boy and girl are surprised by what they heard. Daya and Ratsu are very happy to hear the girl's statement, but suddenly Janet says that they have another problem. The girl says that her life is still in danger because it seems that demons are chasing her. The guy is surprised and remembers the moment when the girl said that this is why she didn't get lost. Janet says that's why they'll take her with them and take her to guild headquarters. One of the adventurers at the fountain says that they confiscated the artifacts for a week. Because there is nothing to be done, these are not friends. The man asks how long he will complain, to which he replies that they are friends and they should have discussed everything. He asks why they were in such a hurry. Helio lowers his head, not answering. Suddenly the man turns to him asking because he wanted to get a confession, and since he read this, he began to lose patience. He says that this article really made a lot of noise, because one of the 7 great demons was destroyed by the hero's right hand, and this man was Helio's best childhood friend. The boys leave the castle, and Ratsu suggests that they go, because now there is no one here and there is no noise. Daya says that even if someone sees them, the girl has a hood and everything will be fine. Ratsu says that the guild headquarters is in the largest city in Clearland. The girl asks if there are many adventurers there. Daya agrees, she thinks that's probably the most important thing. The girl says that they will meet the guild leader and get permission to live in this city, but the girl says that it is a little scary. The guy calms her down, saying that everything will be fine because she was told everything. The demon girl agrees with him. The man understands that everything will be fine because she has nothing to do with the disappearance when suddenly they notice something. Ratsu and Daya come to their senses and admit that they still haven't introduced themselves. They tell the girl their names so that she finally knows what their names are. The girl hesitantly answers that her name is Shitoran Tori. The boys are glad that she finally introduced herself. The girl asks where she lived before, to which the girl replies that she lived on Mount Kokuyo. The boy is interested and asks what kind of place it is. The girl replies that it is a place where something is always burning and charring, to which the men remark that it is a hard place to live. He asks if she is going to go back there. Suddenly the girl goes silent and the boy asks what happened. Shitoran is shaking with fear, saying that there is something terrible there. The guy gets scared because he suddenly realized that this is a sore subject for the girl. The man changes the subject, saying it's time to eat. He asks the girls if they're hungry, to which Daya picks up on the situation and happily agrees. The man, confidently and quickly, surprisingly, distributes duties to all those present. He enthusiastically says that he himself will prepare the camp, and the girl, in turn, will take on the task of preparing dinner, to which she, without thinking, happily agrees. Meanwhile, a large and beautiful fire is lit, creating a cozy atmosphere. The guy, showing interest, suddenly asks Rin if she can eat human food at all, to which she answers without hesitation that everything is fine. Daya, sitting next to her, asks her if it tastes good, but the girl again successfully answers that everything is fine. However, the man begins to wonder if everything is really fine with her. Suddenly, the boy notices a glowing ring on the girl's index finger. Curious, he asks if she can show him her artifact, as it is a very interesting topic. To which the girl, with slight surprise and misunderstanding, looks at the guy. The man, feeling a little awkward, justifies himself and says that he did not think that she could treat him with any suspicion. Daya, realizing that the situation is a little awkward, picks up the conversation and says that everything is fine, she said, and she shouldn't worry. She adds that the guy is just a big fan of artifacts, as it happens. The girl, although with some embarrassment, admits that the man really does often look at other people's artifacts, but then she gets even more embarrassed and apologizes. To which the man, of course, on top of this, also gets embarrassed and worried, encouraging himself that this is not at all the case. He asks the girl when he did that, to which she laughs and replies that she is just joking, adding a touch of lightness to the conversation. Rin, watching this, is surprised by everything happening around and, silently looking at them, tries to understand the whole essence of this situation. The man, slightly embarrassed, asks the girl why she even brought it up. He gets embarrassed and admits that he is really interested in knowing about such artifacts, when suddenly, they hear the girl suddenly giggle and it becomes quite funny. The heroes turn around and look at the happy girl, who can finally smile after such a long time, adding joy to the atmosphere. Rin, trusting the guy, extends her palm to him, showing him the ring. The man, slightly surprised, asks if he can really see it, and sincerely thanks her for her trust. He, touching the ring, sees that the ring is rank C, and at the same time he begins to study the characteristics, realizing that the artifact, unfortunately, is very weak. Ratsu, thinking about all this, realized that it was not surprising that the guild immediately decided that this girl was harmless. The boy suddenly realizes that level 1 is irrefutable proof that she has never killed anyone. The girl, clutching her hands, asks if that's enough, and the man, with sincere respect, admits that he's glad he saved her and that she's still with him. The guy, addressing the girl, says that the sacred artifact of demons is a weapon for killing people, but on the other hand, it is an ordinary useful artifact that can heal your wounds. The girl looks at her glowing ring with interest, immersed in thoughts about how useful it can be. The man says that she helped the dog, and helped them when they were injured. He admits that this sacred treasure is worthy of her kindness. The girl is embarrassed by what she heard and is glad that she helped someone. She wanted to say something, but she could not find the words. She lies down, saying that it is time for her to sleep. Daya asks if she does not want to go to the tent. The guy nodded and admitted that he needed to sleep too, and concluded that they would take turns being on duty, since today had been a really hard and eventful day for all of them. The girl, turning to the man who leans on her arm and listens attentively, says that she heard something interesting from Miss Janet. She shares information with him about the special zone for protecting demons, Gensok, and it sounds quite intriguing. Daya, holding a hot mug of the aromatic drink, asks the guy out of curiosity if he knows anything about this special place, to which he replies that, unfortunately, he knows nothing, and his interest only grows. The man stands up and looks at her questioningly, asking what this place is that she mentions. The girl, becoming more serious, replies that it is a special place created by the guild to protect and shelter harmless demons, where there should be no conflicts under any circumstances. She says that it seems to her that there are humans and demons there, and no conflict at all, which gives the optimists some ideas. The guy, showing interest, becomes curious and asks where this place is. However, the girl, with a slight note of sadness, replies that this place does not exist because the plan was rejected and written off, and this is quite sad. The man, putting his hand on his face, says that after today's events, such a place would be just right. The guy, thinking about Daya's words, holds his head in his hand, asking why she even started this conversation, to which Daya, a little embarrassed, asks if he really cares about her. The girl, looking at the sleeping girl, says that it was not done, but was planned, which means that there were people like them who sincerely wanted to help harmless demons who are subject to persecution. The man's eyes widen, surprised by what he's heard, as if struck by new thoughts. The girl, without wasting time, continues speaking, leading up to the idea that even if people say they're wrong, she still believes that they're doing absolutely right. Ratsu, feeling a surge of joy, smiles happily and sincerely thanks the girl for her support. He promises that they will definitely find a home for Rin, and this thought fills him with hope. The little girl, hearing all this, is embarrassed, but at the same time, gives everyone a warm and kind smile. The next morning, the boys set off on their journey, full of enthusiasm. They enthusiastically walk through mountains and rocks, wade through large rivers, enjoying the beauty of nature around them. The guys head further and further along unknown paths, to which the guy notes that today they have covered quite a long distance, and this gives him a feeling of satisfaction from the work done and moving forward. At this point, the boys decide to swim in the lake to cool off on a hot day. Rin, enjoying the moment in the water, asks the boy if he's not going to swim with them, to which the girl, with a smile, but with a slight reproach, declares that the man cannot go with them, but the guy only remains silent and looks at them embarrassedly, assessing the situation. However, he smiles warmly and says that when they are together like this, whether she is a human or a demon does not matter at all, because what is more important is that they are here, next to each other. The boy thinks that on the other hand, it is also true that there are things that are dangerous, such as disappearance incidents, and this thought does not leave him. After bathing, when the fun begins to wane, Dia apologizes to the boy for making him wait so long. The guy, returning to his business, begins to look for something in his bag, when suddenly he hears an evil and nasty laugh. The guy is surprised and, warily, looks forward. At the source of the sound, his heart begins to beat faster from anticipation. He looks up and sees a multitude of demons in front of him, ready to attack them, and this makes him feel anxious. The crocodile-headed demon, smiling broadly, addresses Shitorin, cheerfully declaring that he has found her, and this phrase sounds threatening. Rin, seeing the demons, is very scared. The The guy, looking at their number, is surprised. Are these really demons, and why are there so many of them? The guy, glancing at the girl who is standing in defense of Rin, begins to wonder how they could not notice them until now. The crocodile-headed demon, brandishing his sword, says with a grin that if they don't give the girl up, they will kill him, and if he does, they will quickly kill them, challenging him. The demon offers him a choice, as if it were a game. The guy, realizing the seriousness of the situation, stands in a fighting stance, holding his not yet activated sword. The man is silent, but carefully watches the demon's actions, preparing for any turn of events. Suddenly the demon, without holding back, rushes forward, ordering him to respond. The monster swings his sword, striking, and this creates tension in the air. To which the guy confidently and calmly states that the demon is too slow, and this sounds like a challenge. Reptile just laughs, confidently says that they will see it again, swinging his sword again. But the guy is faster and, activating his sword, strikes the demon, cutting off his paw, which shocks everyone present. The man raises the gun to the monster's face, declaring with unfeigned determination that he will not give him the girl and will not kill him. The man looks at the demon with a serious and unwavering face, and firmly states that this is his answer, and his determination is felt in the air. The demon, horrified by the guy's actions, gets scared and doesn't understand who he is. He admits that this is not what he was told, and fear permeates him. Suddenly, all the demons, as if on command, get scared of something and, without thinking, run away from the place. Suddenly, another person appears, confidently declaring that all their actions are useless. The adventurer strikes and defeats all the demons with one well-aimed blow, leaving them defenseless. Ratsu decides to crouch down to avoid being hit, hiding behind a tree. He looks at the man sitting on a tree branch far away from him. The adventurer, seeing their confusion, apologizes and says that they have no need for these useless demons. The guy notices that there is a snow-white child standing in front of them, because his skin, hair, eyes, and all his clothes, even the mysterious artifact, seem to radiate the purity of white. The man, looking at him carefully, thinks and does not understand what this feeling of pressure he feels, as if an invisible force is trying to squeeze him. The guy, being on the branch and feeling the full scope of what is happening, admits that he is amazing. He states with surprise that he prepared so many demons, but nevertheless, he defeated them all so easily in battle. At this point, Ratsu is surprised by the guy's words and asks what he means, not taking it as a joke. The man tells him to come down and they can talk calmly, to which the guy, with slight doubt, asks why he is so stupid that he remains vulnerable. He looks at them as if invisible and, smiling, claims that he will still take his target no matter what, and this adds additional notes of tension to the atmosphere. The man, feeling the need to protect his friends, raises his sword, casting some powerful spell. Ratsu wonders what he meant by target when Daya suddenly notices that the girl is missing, causing everyone to instantly panic. A moment later, Rin appears in the boy's arms, and the heroes are frightened, realizing that the girl is in danger again and begin to worry about her. Rin, with horror in her voice, calls out to Ratsu and Daya, expressing regret that they were not able to save her at that moment. The guy, without thinking, uses black lightning, hitting the enemy with his sword and directing the lightning at the enemy. As he strikes, the man notices for a moment that his enemy has disappeared, which surprises him. The guy, suddenly appearing far behind Ratsu, calmly admits that the guy has quite good abilities, thereby acknowledging the strength of his opponent. But the man says that this is still not enough because he needs combat experience, and this thought becomes a nail in Ratsu's heart. The forces inside him began to boil. He gets angry and shouts the girl's name, intending to save her at any cost. The boy with confident determination declares that he should give the girl, and uses black lightning again, rapidly moving to various points, trying to hit him. Suddenly, the enemy appears behind him again, asking with a slight mocking tone if something is wrong. Daya notices that he acts very quickly. Ratsu turned around, not realizing how quickly the demons were disappearing from under his nose, and this made him even more worried. Suddenly, the girl, taking advantage of the moment, breaks free from the man's grip, telling him to let her go. To which the guy, in a serious tone, states that he has business not only with her. He turns to the girl, looks at the heroes, and asks if she wants him to take these two with him. The boy says with a smirk that they will go to Onyx. Rin, hearing this name, is struck with great fear and cannot move, remembering how her brother told her to run. Suddenly, the guy laughs and pierces the atmosphere, cutting it like parchment, and this causes Ratsu great surprise. The man does not understand what it is, wonders how he was able to cut space, and it looks incredible. Cutting through the space, a huge and bright portal appears in front of the girl, sparkling brightly like the passage of time. Ratsu reaches out his hand and nervously tells Rin to get away from him, begging her to run to him as quickly as possible, his voice filled with panic. But the girl, looking at the portal, does not even turn around. Then the guy, with an off-scale feeling of despair and persistence, shouts the girl's name with all his might, hoping to awaken her from her state of stupor, to which the white guy only watches what is happening with a smile, as if enjoying the game. Suddenly, Rin turns around, looking at the boys with a warm smile, but doesn't answer. The girl turns away again and slowly begins to enter the portal, disappearing into its impenetrable depths. The guy says that she is a demon, and she will not be able to live with people, as if it was predetermined by fate. The man says goodbye to the unknown adventurer. Ratsu, still holding his hand, watches in shock as the portal closes in front of them. He looks at this hope-filled exit until the very end, realizing that he could do nothing about this merciless situation. The next day, the townspeople gather together, full of determination, and declare that today they will find this demon to restore justice. A man standing among them asks what the guild will say if there are no results, causing alarm among the townspeople. Suddenly, a black demon appears before them, laughing and smiling menacingly with a wide grin. The men in the crowd, roused by the onslaught of confidence, ask who he is. The demon with black eyes, cheerfully and smugly, counts the warriors in numbers about 20. He laughs, declaring that he was spared the need to go to the city, and this sounds like a challenge. The soldiers, whispering to others, ask if he is really a demon. The demon, not losing confidence, agrees and asks if it is not obvious from him, adding that he is not just a demon. But suddenly, one of the warriors, overcoming his excitement, raises his hand, ordering everyone to attack, to which the demon only looks at the attacking warriors in surprise. The three men simultaneously point their swords at the demon, delivering powerful blows to its body. But he, without moving from his place, asks with a slight grin if they really intend to act seriously. He asks them to simply hear him out to the end, and these words suddenly change the atmosphere. The warriors, not understanding who this guy is, look at his confidence with fear, when suddenly the demon declares that he is one of the 7 great demons, and, possessing incredible power, suddenly deals one swift blow to the warriors, and everything changes. Ratsu, lost in his thoughts, goes through all of his artifacts. He picks up each one, examining them carefully, and with each passing moment he realizes that one by one they are all useless for further combat. The man wonders what is going on, and despair begins to fill his heart. The boy, pondering the situation, does not understand why none of these artifacts are suitable. He thought that he could synthesize any weapon that could help him. Suddenly, he hears Daya wondering why Rin left, and this underlines their common concern. The girl admits that she thought they were all friends. The guy, remembering the girl leaving, sadly admits that if they really were friends, she wouldn't look like that, embarrassed and lost. The girl, pressing her hands to herself, not fully believing it, nods in agreement because the girl really did laugh when they were together, and this caused her a painful feeling. Daya, lost in thought, wonders why Rin left then, to which the guy replies that she should ask her herself and that they should go already, because time is of the essence. The girl, surprised, asks where they are going. The guy turns around and says that it is his ability. He explains that the white guy used the artifact to cut through space and move around as if the laws of space didn't apply to him. The guy explains that the demons that suddenly appeared and the attack from afar were probably the cause of this whole event and this ability. He realizes that this man is not someone he can defeat with just force like he used to, and this realization makes him feel uneasy. Ratsu suddenly admits that he thinks he knows where Rin is now, and this gives him hope. The man looks at the girl, saying that he could smell something burning from this section of space. He remembers the girl saying that she lived in a place where something was always burning. Suddenly Daya remembers this, and she asks if she really told them about this place, and she has vague memories. The boy, full of determination, confidently declares that he is going to save Rin. He orders the girl that they are going to Mount Kokuyo right now, and this accomplishment sounds almost like a spell. At this time, the white boy and girl enter a huge gloomy cave filled with mysterious whispers of darkness. Entering it, the boy, turning to Onyx, enthusiastically says that he is finally home, and it sounds like returning after a long journey. A snake-headed demon comes out of the corner, greeting the boy. The man asks what about Onyx, to which the demon replies that he was out, but just returned. a message that creates a sense of anticipation in everyone present. Suddenly, another demon approaches them, running up happily and rejoicing that Quartz has finally returned. At that moment, the girl notices him, becoming very scared, and at the same time, this demon greets her joyfully and menacingly, asking if she really didn't miss him. Rin, feeling panic, is afraid and shrinks in fear. The demon, informing about Quartz's affairs, asks what happened to their guys. To which the white guy, not hiding his indifference, states that, unfortunately, it did not work, and this surrounds everyone in tension. The boy asks if he knew that not only were they going to the royal capital, but they were also going along the same road, which underscores the importance of their journey. The demon, looking at him sternly, replies that they have information about a renegade who is going to take revenge, and this news causes shock in everyone. Suddenly, the demon sits down on a rock, declaring that even among them there is an informant, secretly working within the guild. He says that if you give people money, they will do anything. He says that this is their entire essence, to which the girl looks at him in surprise. Quartz, agreeing with this, says that he would be glad anyway if he could help him, to which the black demon abruptly declares that Quartz should join his group. To which the boy confidently replies that if he joins them, he will not be able to cooperate with other factions, and this statement renounces all hope. The demon sitting on the stone throne curiously asks what his true goal is. The white demon, smiling widely, reveals his true intentions, saying that his true goal is the destruction of humans, and he admits that this is all he wants more than anything in the world. The black demon asks with a smirk if he shouldn't be careful, since if all goes well, he might even become the demon king of the next generation. The demon again states that the previous candidate was killed by a little red-haired girl, and this time, Quartz responds that he doesn't care, which highlights the fighter's determination. The boy admits that it's time for him to go save Rin, to which the demon curiously asks how many adventurers were there, to which the man replies that they would never come to her aid, since Rin came to this place herself, and they have no reason to come to her aid. The white guy, picking up his thing, leaves, saying that they will see each other soon. His words are shrouded in mystery. The black demon, amazed by what he heard, turns to her, asking if she really came here herself. Suddenly, the black demon rushes up, hugging the girl and asking if she is finally ready to heal his right hand. To which the girl gets scared, asking him to stop. The girl pushes him away, telling him not to touch her. Suddenly, the black demon notices her ring. Touching it, he realizes that the girl is still level 1. He asks if she still can't kill a person. Rin is scared, looking at the demon. The black demon releases her, and asks if she didn't come back to restore his hand, to which the girl firmly denies it. Rin yells at him, saying that she has told him this many times before, that she doesn't have that much power. The demon covers his face with his hand, asking if this is true, since it means that her current strength will not be enough. But suddenly he tells her not to worry, since he has prepared something for such a case. The girl gets scared, asking what he has planned. The black demon calls out to Cinta, saying that ever since she left, he has been kidnapping adventurers along with Quartz. He admits that he was wondering if there was anyone who could heal his right arm. The man admits that, unfortunately, there are none, to which the girl notices something and asks him to wait. She asks what he has been doing all this time. The demon admits that he has been kidnapping adventurers. Suddenly, Rin recalls with fright what Janet said about the adventurer disappearance incident. The black demon states that he didn't expect anything from humans, but that's where he came up with a good plan. The man claims that the artifacts improve when they kill people. He admits that the process is unimportant. The main task is to destroy the person. Suddenly, the girl sees a wooden cart approaching. She sees that the cart that the demons are pulling contains people in a very serious condition. One of the demons lifts the cart and all the people fall to the ground. The girl is scared to death, seeing barely alive people in front of her who ask for help. Rin falls to the ground, not daring to move. The demon asks what she is doing. A black demon with a terrifying face holds the girl, telling her that he has collected all this material for her to level up and restore his arm. He looks into the girl's face, ordering her to kill them. Ratsu and Daya are walking quickly through the forest. The tired girl, breathing heavily, apologizes to the guy because she is a nuisance to him. She asks him to go alone, leaving her. But the boy turns to the girl, stating that they have arrived at Mount Kokuyo. Ren remembers that her brother's name is Right Tori and wonders why he took 2 names. Little Ren runs after her brother, asking why he is called Right and Tofu, to which the boy in front replies that people have surnames that are related to their family in addition to their first names. He asks his sister if it's really cute, so he imitates it. The girl looks at her brother with admiration, agreeing with him, and declares that from today on she will be Shitori Tori. Rin remembers that her brother loved humans very much. She remembers that he liked them so much that she called him human-sane because he was interested in what is called the bonds that humans have. The girl recalls that he loved her like a younger sister because she was born in the same village. She admits that she adored him very much as her true loving brother. Rin shows her brother the dark ring, and he tells her that she now has her own ring. She happily shows off her glowing ring. The guy tells that there is a custom among people that men and women in love put rings on each other's left ring finger when signing a contract, to which the girl beams with happiness and says that she should also put them on with her brother. But the guy replies that they are brother and sister, so they can't. Therefore, they will put the ring on the index finger of the right hand. Rin is surprised and decides that why not. The boy tells his sister that because of her kindness, she received healing, magic that can be directed at people and demons. He says with a smile on his face that this artifact is perfect for her. Rin says that she thought this peaceful time would last forever, but it lasted until he came. The girl, walking in the forest, sees a demon injured by an adventurer. She runs up to him, asking if everything is okay. The girl uses healing magic on him without thinking, but the demon only looks at himself and abruptly runs away, to which Rin is offended that he did not even thank her. But the brothers say that this demon was offended and upset, so there is no need to be angry with him. The boy pats his sister on the head, praising her for doing a great job. The girl happily agrees with him. When suddenly they hear the townspeople getting upset. The black demon addresses the girl, saying that she is so talented. He tells her that his people will take care of her. The demon introduces himself as Onyx and that he has come to take her away. The girl hides behind her brother's back, to which the black demon approaches them and asks her to join him so that she can restore his lost right arm. The boy stands up for his sister, telling the demon that, unfortunately, Shitori doesn't have that kind of power right now. He politely asks the demon to give up and go back home. The demon thinks that since the girl is not capable now, then it is necessary to increase the level by killing people, to which the guy states that his sister does not want this. The demon states that this is quite strange. Onyx says that this is very bad, because his way of communicating was bad. The demon's face changes and with an angry and commanding tone says that he is not asking her but ordering her. The boy stands up for his sister by using a magic sphere, directing it at the demon. The brother orders his sister to run, to which the frightened girl says that she cannot do this, to which the guy loudly shouts at her to run away, and the girl runs with tears in her eyes. Rin runs into the human village, asking for help. The men, seeing the girl, run up to her, asking what happened. Rin, out of breath from fear and the long run, begs them for help. She barely manages to utter through her sighs that her brother needs help, but the men, seeing the girl, are frightened by her horns. The men start shouting that she is a demon and will kill everyone, to which the girl, not getting an answer, looks at them. The men order the entire village to flee, and the desperate girl asks them to listen to her. She approaches one of the villagers, begging, but the man orders the men to bring anything that can pass for a weapon. Looking at the demon, they are about to eliminate him, to which the little demon only becomes more and more frightened with horror and worries about his brother. She hears the black demon ordering her to destroy people, and the girl only sits on the floor, clutching her horns and trembling. The demon laughs and asks Shitorin what happened. Doesn't she want to help him? He points to the wounded people and says that he prepared all this just for her.